This is the Troll Patrol, live with JustinFREAKIN.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol live. It's a freaking Wednesday. It's a freaking Wednesday. Warlord T-minus. Politically, I'm not high. I'm not high enough for this shit. I'm not even high, period. Comrade Lennon, welcome in. My lord. It's freak time indeed. It's time for me to get fucking high. We should totally change. God damn it, Smokey, stop. He's clawing the shit out of my leg. Like, please, buddy. He got my lap like seconds before I came on. He's clawing my leg. Julie, good evening. Join me. Light one up, tip one back. Meat cakes. I mean, Smokey's kind of dumb. So, if Smokey could vote, he probably would vote Republican. Not being mean to my cat, just being realistic. He awfully derpy. Damn, my lord, 205 weeks and 4 days? It sounds like a lot of weeks. I guess it's about right, isn't it? Lenny, good evening. Yeah, I gotta hit it again. That daft cunt thinks cats can vote. We've got British people going at each other in the chat. It's the Battle of the Brits. One's on YouTube, one's on Twitch. Amazing. Cats can't vote. That's just silly. We got a lot to talk about tonight. God damn, I got so many notes. I need to be in this chair less and let my back have a chance to heal. But no, I've got fucking 5 pages of notes. Because the news be doing all kinds of stupid shit. Articles of impeachment. We're 2 weeks into this shit. 3 weeks? 2 weeks? Articles of impeachment already introduced today. I've got both our allies and lawmakers' reactions to Trump's plan for Gaza. Fox News thinks it's hilarious. A CNN host corrected a Republican congresswoman about the Hamas condoms. I condom.
He condemn.
I need to change the graphic to he condom. Shit's stupid. Keep my son's face out your haunted house. Right-wingers think we were sending Hamas $50 million worth of condoms. We weren't. Doran Bet, what is up, my friend? 747. Just know I would not fly on you. 747. I don't fly anymore. Keep my son's face out your haunted house. Yeah, it was to like some province of Mozambique or some shit. And you know, even if it was to Hamas, they were the government of Palestine. I'm down with, you know, sending condoms to whoever wants them. I encourage safe sex if you're into that. Some of us Some of us are, you know, a little kinky and we know the risks. Everyone needs condoms. Everyone needs them, whether you use them or not. I hooked up with this dude one time. It was like the regional something or other for whatever health service. And it was like a, you know, health services for the LGBTQ community. And so, like, he told me, like, how I needed to go get on PrEP and blah, 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 blah. Right before, you know, we fucked bareback. God damn it. It happens. We're going to hear from the former... I'm not high enough for this shit. I'm still coughing over the first couple of hits. I have been high today. Curiouser picked me up this morning. I had a meeting I had to be on at noon. I got a client. She went to Antarctica. She was supposed to be back like 2 weeks ago. So I hop on this Zoom call with her. She's on a fucking boat, and I'm like, are you back in the U.S.? And she's nowhere near the U.S. and still has like 3 or 4 flights. She had a horrible story about whether she still might not even make it out of where she's at now. It was like, that's wild. But she popped on that Zoom meeting. This is clearly on a boat. And I'm like, are you on a boat? After that, I took a nap. I slept most of the day because, you know, why not? We're going to talk about... We're going to talk about... I'm sorry. I'm choked up. You say rookie coughing, but apparently I've been walking around with bronchitis for like a year. So excuse the fuck out of me. That damn U.S. healthcare we got. Can't go see a doctor. Get this shit knocked out. Phrasing! You know what? I'm not even going to tell you what that news be doing. Just know it's some crazy shit. Quesadilla, what's going on? Michael Jordan's son got arrested. This dude pulled off $1 million sneaker heist. There's a guy impersonating an ICE officer. I think he was trying to, you know, snitch on some immigrants. So cool that he got arrested. A woman in Miami beat her daughter with a guitar. A cop has been arrested for indecent exposure. The Grammys are apologizing to Babyface. All that and a lot freaking more tonight on the Troll Patrol Live. Good evening. Yeah, that not having access to healthcare, it's an issue I'm passionate about because it kind of affects me. You do not need to send me antibiotics, T-Minus. I love you for that, though. Chat looking out for me. And there's so many problems that we talk about on this show that could just absolutely be solved by Medicare for all. I mean, I wouldn't encourage doing drugs that people send you in the mail. However, I've known some people that have had some good times. Apparently somebody in this community hooked somebody else in this community up, and they really enjoyed it. Also, I would like to throw out a correction. James Madison University, not a far right-wing university. It one actually sat with me. It bothered me for a little bit, and I had to go look it up. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking of, like, conservative college in Wisconsin. It's like the University of Madison. Something. Madison's in the name. Is what I was thinking of. James Madison University in Virginia. Just throwing out that correction. Also, because I'm easily baited into debates. Treaty, agreement, no difference. Those are synonyms. I didn't think to say synonym. I didn't think to say synonym last night, but treaty, agreement, there is functionally no difference. A treaty is an agreement. Yada, yada, yada. Dude doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Always do corrections, and usually they're at the top of the show, and not a lot of people are here for that part, so I kind of feel bad for it, but also me remembering. I think it is. That's what I was. University of Wisconsin-Madison, but that's a public university, and I was thinking this was a private college. But there is like a nut job college in Wisconsin, and they produce some like Federalist Society type people. Holiday, good evening. Yeah. The University of Wisconsin-Madison. That's like a super liberal arts college, isn't it? There's like a lot of student protests pop up from there. Holiday, did I tell you good evening? I don't even remember. It was just like 2 seconds ago. I'm losing my mind. I apologize. I'm going fucking crazy. And this administration isn't helping. And we're off to a roaring start. Here we go, another impeachment. Is he going to be impeached a third time? He already holds the record with 2 impeachments. Are we going to get to a third impeachment, a fourth impeachment, maybe even a fifth impeachment? Just keep impeaching the motherfucker. They're never going to convict him in the Senate. Who gives a shit? Like, I just don't know anymore. DJ Dub, Mox. Good content administration, at least. News story I almost put on the list. MSNBC ratings up. I bet CNN's are up. My numbers are fucking up. Good content, yay, but the revolution won't be televised, but the fucking downfall will be. Or streamed. Representative Al Green introducing articles of impeachment.
And still I rise, Mr. Speaker. And I rise today, Mr. Speaker, with a to whom it may concern message. To whom it may concern, ethnic cleansing in Gaza is not a joke, especially when it emanates from the President of the United States, the most powerful person in the world, when he has the ability to perfect what he says. Ethnic cleansing in Gaza is no joke, and the Prime Minister of Israel should be ashamed, knowing the history of his people, to stand there and allow such
Well, once again, he's from fucking Pennsylvania. So the history of his people is, the history of our people. Genociding native populations to make room for the white man.
things to be said. Ethnic cleansing has been a crime against humanity. And I stand here today in the well to denounce what was said, to denounce what the president said, to denounce the complicity of the Prime Minister of Israel, and to remind people that Dr. King was right. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And injustice in Gaza is a threat to justice in the United States of America. I rise to announce that the movement to impeach the president has begun. I rise to announce that I will bring articles of impeachment against the president for dastardly deeds proposed and dastardly deeds done. I also rise to say that the impeachment movement is going to be a grass-up movement, not a top-down. The people have got to move forward. The people have to demand it. And when the people demand it, it will be done. I did it before. I laid the foundation for impeachment, and it was done. Nobody knows more about it than I. And I know that it's time for us to lay the foundation again. On some issues, it is better to stand alone than not stand at all. On this issue, I stand alone, but I stand for justice. I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back. Members are reminded to refrain.
Ro Khanna says he did not have time, that they did not organize it fast enough. And if that's true, that's still a failure on the Dems. It's a failure of their leadership. Representative Al Green from Texas says it's no laughing matter. Fox News absolutely disagrees. Fox News thinks it's fucking hilarious. Literally the title of the video posted by Fox News. This isn't like Media Matters trying to own them. Look, this is Fox News channel, 12.9 million subscribers, not a fake Fox News channel, not faux news. This is the actual Fox News. Host breakdown in laughter over media's reaction to Trump's Gaza plan. It is a laughing matter to those people. And how do you deal with that?
So here we go. President Trump announcing a new plan, a plan for the U.S. to take over, at least temporarily, the Gaza Strip, saying we'll turn it into the Riviera of the Middle East.
Lucas Tomlinson has more on what we know so far. Good morning to you, Lucas.
Good morning, guys. Standing alongside Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the first foreign leader to visit the White House.
This is that dude with the weird forehead that looks like Matt Gaetz' illegitimate brother.
In President Trump's second term, Trump says the United States, as you mentioned, is going to go in.
Now you can't unsee it, can you?
Rule out U.S. military involvement.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site.
Mr. President, given what you've said about Gaza, did the U.S. send troops to help secure the security vacuum?
As far as Gaza is concerned, we'll do what is necessary.
Now, Netanyahu appeared open to the idea. Saudi Arabia's foreign ministry says it rejects any attempts to displace Palestinians from their land. The French government also said it's strongly against any forced displacement of the Palestinians. Egypt, Jordan, and other American allies in the region have previously rejected the idea of relocating the more than 2 million Palestinians in Gaza. During the news conference,
relocate them from their homes.
Netanyahu, the following question.
We have heard Joe Biden.
There's a name for that.
Take credit for the hostage and ceasefire deal. Who do you think deserves more credit?
I think President Trump added great force and powerful leadership to this effort. I appreciate it. He sent a very good emissary. He's helped it along.
So that was in the Oval Office
Disgusting.
before the news conference. Now, Trump says the U.S. will own Gaza and be responsible for dismantling all the unexploded ordnance. He said he wants to level Gaza and get rid of the destroyed buildings and rebuild it. Guys?
You know, Lucas, there's no doubt. I mean, they're in a situation where they have to make a decision because Netanyahu says there's no way Hamas will stay in charge. Michael Waltz says that the Trump administration position is there's no way Hamas stays in charge. But if you've seen the hostage takeover, they're still the number one presence in the area. They're the ones still with the guns.
They're the government.
All those Hamas soldiers fully kitted out with brand new uniforms, brandishing weapons. Hamas still a force there in Gaza. Also, let's just think just a few days ago when Trump was talking about leveling tariffs on Mexico and Canada, you saw a big about face. Perhaps this announcement will get the attention of other allies in the Middle East, guys.
Indeed. All right, Lucas, thank you very much for the live report from D.C. So it was a jaw dropper last night. The cover of the New York Post is "We'll take over Gaza," and you got to wonder where this idea came from. I know Jared Kushner had told the president a year or two ago. He said Gaza's waterfront property could be very valuable, and suggested the Israelis move the people out and then clean it up. Donald Trump is a developer. He sees the potential, but then again, we're talking about land that people have fought over for decades, and it would involve moving the Palestinians out. It looks like Trump and Netanyahu discussed it, but they didn't really talk to the other side because, as Lucas detailed, some of the other sides involved, like Hamas, has said no. The no's so far that I just was reading about in the Times of Israel, Egypt is a no, Hamas is a no, Saudi Arabia is a no, and China is a no.
Oh, yeah, they've had him for a couple years now, haven't they?
Israel right now that says the Gaza plan won't happen, but could shake up the region because new ideas are needed. This might.
I guess we got to do it. It's a segment now. Would you participate in the orgy on the orgy couch? Yes or no on the orgy couch? We got that's the elder Ducey, Steve Ducey. Speaking of fecal transplants. Tier 2, welcome in. Clinically, no. It is a resounding no. Actually, I condemn that one. I condemn this orgy couch.
He condemned.
And I'm a yes on most of them. Who's the dude on the right? That's not Brian Kilmeade. That's Kilmeade. Kilmeade's now our Secretary of Defense. PP girl. Senator Kennedy would absolutely be down.
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
Oh, that is Kilmeade. Hexeth is the Secretary of Defense. Okay, I'm not high enough for this shit. Sorry. I get them confused. I'm sorry. This is horrible.
Spark more viable solutions, and that's what Donald Trump said yesterday.
Anonymously, good evening.
Ideas.
Well, I think it's going to force the Muslim world to find a solution as well. I think it's going to give the president a lot of leverage. Something has to give. And I don't know if this is the solution, but I tweeted out last night.
Shelley, good evening.
Sleep on this. Let me just sleep on this. I think so often when the president puts a radical idea out there to change the conversation.
He needs to sleep on the idea of genocide.
And that's what the media did.
It might look different in the morning.
America looked like Gaza.
Yeah.
I would consider leaving if, if I had to live in those conditions. Exactly. I mean, every time we show video of it, I'm like, I cannot believe people live like this because we're so blessed and fortunate here
it's like
in America.
California. It's like the wildfires, but eventually people want to go back.
What?
And that's a little different because it's so gorgeous in California. You do have to risk the wildfire, especially
what the fuck?
Insurance for it. But when you look at the video of Gaza, that is no place I would ever want to go or visit. And he says he's not specifying where this new land for Gazans might be. But he said, why not? I mean, you don't have to leave, I guess, if you don't want to. But if you have the opportunity for
the fuck indeed
supplied unlimited number of jobs and housing and a good, fresh, beautiful piece of land, like he calls it, why wouldn't you consider it? Why wouldn't they say thanks for doing
20 acres and a mule?
Thing that I thought was interesting.
Wow.
Things others refuse to say, talking about Donald Trump. And after the jaws drop, people scratch their heads and they say, he's right.
Just knowing a little bit of the history, you had the Palestinians in Jordan and they said they created havoc. They threw them out. They were in Lebanon. They were creating.
What?
They tossed them out. They were in Egypt in the 1920s, and they basically gave birth to what we now know as...
Oh, these are all multimillionaires. That's the sad part.
They got tossed out. So they became Israel's problem, and we know about the Balfour Agreement. So now they had in the Oslo situation, they said, what if we gave you Gaza and West Bank? And Clinton said, we build a bridge, both of them. That'll be your state. Yasser Arafat essentially said, if I do that, they'll kill me because we basically want all of Israel. So if you want all of Israel and you say there's going to be many more October 7ths and you rocket to Israel every single day, Israel just had 1,100 innocent people, including babies, killed in the most imaginable. Why would you say, let's just call it a ceasefire?
I should have put a content warning on this.
Again, 18 months later.
This is just beyond the pale.
They promised they would do it again.
We have to revisit all of this, but we are so done. It is really two areas, Palestinians and Iran. Everybody else, and we're going to talk to Qatari Foreign Minister and Special Advisor shortly, everybody else is on the page. And you can't say it's anti-Muslim. President Trump says, listen, I love the Middle East. I'm going to be going to Saudi Arabia. I'm going to go visit all these countries.
Oh, I'm sure he's going to Saudi Arabia. Remember when he had the orb in the first administration?
He has to stop. But the Democrats don't seem to understand that. Listen.
Hey, God, Saudi was one of his first stops during the first term. Holy shit, there's still like 4 minutes of this left. I can't do it. Saudi Arabia was like one of his first foreign trips when he took office the last time. What does that tell you? Our allies reacted to Trump's insane proposal about the U.S. taking over Gaza.
Be allowed home. They must be allowed to rebuild, and we should be with them in that rebuild on the way to a two-state solution.
Welcome back to America Decides. Prime Minister's questions on Wednesday in the United Kingdom. That was British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, a Labour Party leader, expressing his disapproval of President Trump's proposal to, quote, take over Gaza. Let's bring in Editor-in-Chief of Foreign Policy Magazine, Ravi Agrawal. Appreciate you being here. The UK and Saudi Arabia are among those U.S. allies who are condemning the proposal. What more are you hearing about the global reaction?
There's no two-state solution. Also, I thought this was going to be all reactions from our allies, because I had a clip like that, and I switched to this one instead because it was longer. But it wasn't what I wanted. Oh, shit. Oh, wow. Caller, you're on the Troll Patrol. What's going on?
Did
you fart?
I would just like to say I've been watching your stream, and I've got to say it's pretty good. I do enjoy the stream.
Aw, that's awesome. I was hoping it was going to be somebody that was going to argue with me. I'm sorry. Sorry to be disappointed that you're a fan.
Yeah. Look, I just want to say, fuck Trump, fuck him in his ass.
Would you fuck him?
Fuck all those assholes.
Would you fuck Trump?
No. No.
Okay, just making sure. So don't literally fuck Trump. We're figuratively fucking Trump over here.
Oh hell no.
This stream we live in sexual anarchy, so you never know.
Hopefully he'll be out of the office in a year's time.
In a year's time?
He better speak, fucking asshole.
He's got like 3 years and 10 months left. 11 months.
Oh man, 3 years of shit.
Well, some people, Tadpole in the chat, really like shit, so.
God fucking damn it.
God fucking damn it, indeed. What is the issue you're most passionate about? Like what's your political thing you're into?
Well, the thing about when he banned transgenders from sports, that is just fucked.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that here in a little bit. He signed that earlier today.
They're human beings, and Trump. He just signed a death warrant. That asshole just signed a death warrant. What a prick.
Prick indeed.
Yes.
Did you vote in this last election?
Me vote? No. But anyway, that's all I've got to say for now. But fuck Trump.
Fuck Trump.
Bring him down and beat anyone you see who is a Trump supporter and just knock them out. All right.
We're gonna. I don't know about snubbing them out now. Maybe give them a punch. I'm down with it. I feel like you're trying to bait me into like advocating for murder, and I'm not down with that. Especially not me personally.
Oh no!
We're not this is advocating nothing illegal, correct?
Nothing illegal. No, sorry.
I love you. You're a lot of fun.
Yes, I am. Anyway, I gotta get back to work, and I hope you have a great day.
You too. Don't work too hard now.
All right.
Good night,
It's
my
out for
friend.
now.
That was a fun call. I don't mean to sound disappointed when somebody calls in and like they agree with me. They want to tell me I'm doing a good job. I'm all like, "Oh, I was hoping you were a libertarian or a dumb fuck right winger." Don't mean to be disappointed. Sorry. I like it when people don't agree with me. I do have a clip that shows the different lawmakers reacting to Trump's dumbass decision to say that the U.S. was going to take over Gaza, starting with Fetterman.
I didn't really saw that as like a super serious kind of a situation, and it's really just trying to shake things up and just announce like there is some truths about Gaza. How are somebody able to leave there right now when probably 85 to 90% or more of the buildings are destroyed or seriously damaged? So where are people going to live, and how?
Well, who did that?
And how can you rebuild Gaza? And
How do these people keep saying that? Well, like all the buildings are destroyed. How are you going to live there? Maybe we should make Israel rebuild the motherfuckers since they're the ones that tore it down. Ever think about that?
Still, Hamas is still allowed to endure. So there's a lot of questions, and where's the money going to come from? So this is about, I think,
well, certainly not U.S. aid
situation, and it's just about shaking things up. But I'm not going to freak out on it.
It's a bold move, certainly, far bolder than what's been done before. But I think we've got to stand unequivocally in an unwavering manner, as the whip said, with Israel, our closest ally and friend in the Middle East. And I think if we could bring control of that situation and bring about a lasting peace there, it would do well for everybody, not just in the region, but around the world. It's a volatile place. And I think the strong and decisive move is an important step in that regard. As was noted earlier, Prime Minister Netanyahu being the first international leader to meet with the president in the White House is more than symbolism, but it is a symbol. And it shows the world that we're not going to equivocate. The previous administration did that. They tried to appease Iran and by extension its proxies, terrorists, and they frankly encumbered Israel in so many times. You're seeing a reversal of that now. That is very important development. I think our allies around the world appreciate that. I know because I talked to lots of leaders around the world, and they've been very nervous about the instability there. I think this could be a bold step in that regard. So
wow.
Let's withhold judgment on all of it.
This is an extraordinarily dangerous approach for the president to take and not consistent with American values.
Yep.
The president has simply been treating Gaza as if it were one more real estate development opportunity. It is the homeland of many people. The official policy of the United States continues to be 2 states where 2 peoples can live side by side with security, dignity.
Well, I don't know about this 2-state shit.
I hope the President of the United States
I think we're long past that.
aligns himself with longstanding U.S. policy.
The president talked about an idea last night.
And this isn't even the only Senator Kennedy clip you get tonight. I didn't know about this one. I didn't know they were going to get his reaction to this because I got a whole 30 minutes of them. We weren't going to watch the whole thing. The 2-state thing really fucks with me because we're well past that point. That was out the door 25 years ago or more. Like the time for a 2-state solution was like when Clinton came into office. If not sooner than that. The window is closed on that. And fuck Senator Kennedy.
I listened to it very carefully. He talked about an idea. He hasn't fleshed out that idea yet. I feel certain the White House is going to welcome input. I don't think anybody ought to start jumping to conclusions here.
I think what the president's trying to do is find a path forward. And I think what he wants to do is a peaceful approach. He doesn't like it when people are at war. He's made that very clear. And what he's offered is let's talk about the value of this land to begin with. And let's let everybody be reminded that this is a valuable piece of property. And the people should recognize how valuable it could be if there was peace in the region.
I thought this was a guy that was going to end America's endless wars. I don't know if this was just off the cuff, but...
Well, I never believed that.
Your words matter. And the notion that he's asking the American taxpayer to take on the whole role of funding this or deploying troops.
Fucking fuck, T-minus.
I'm not sure whether this was off the cuff or a strategy, but in either case, I think it actually sets back the cause of peace.
Oh, I'm sure Kushner is behind this.
The president's really trying to say is
he's advocated for it.
In Gaza, and one thing we can't have for a long-term safe Gaza is Hamas. So I think he's right in suggesting that we need to have a clean slate.
Okay, keep your eye on the dude that walks out. Is that a bathroom? I believe it's a bathroom.
Gaza.
What was he doing in there?
So I think he's right in suggesting that we need to have a clean slate. The reason I said a kink in the slinky, it may not work out.
Simply Steve, welcome in.
The way he discussed it at a press conference, but I think directionally he's on the right track.
Well, there's taking over Gaza. There's helping rebuild Gaza.
Senator Kevin Kramer
probably needs some clarification on what exactly that means. He's a developer of resorts. I think he sees a good opportunity. But we need to, obviously, Gaza's not ours. It's
That's psychopathic to talk about it that way. Are you serious? I think obviously Gaza is not ours.
He sees a good opportunity. But we need to, obviously, Gaza's not ours. It's sovereign. It's part of another country, right? And all that needs to be worked out, probably among them. Perhaps with a little bit of facility.
It's kind of not sovereign either.
Clearly, Gaza doesn't belong to the United States.
Trump's position on Gaza is absolutely dumb, stupid, and illegal. And the United States will not be invading Gaza.
This is Senator Ruben Gallego from Arizona, just got elected as a Democrat, defeated Kerry Lake. That's the first smart thing he said since he came to Congress.
We will not be occupying Gaza. And for the Republican Party and Trump to run as the anti-war candidates to suddenly ask for war, shows you the level of hypocrisy and or lack of leadership that is occurring at the White House.
Oof. We're going to show a clip from CNN. Apparently, Representative Nicole Miliatakis of New York was on with Abby Phillips. I had to look because I don't know these people. We do not watch a lot of CNN over here. This is Republican Representative Nicole Miliatakis from New York.
What I will say is you have these bureaucrats sitting at these agencies. They come before Congress. We have hearings. We try to get to the bottom of where this money is going. $50 million for condoms in Gaza, for example.
Congresswoman.
No, but these are real things.
No.
You guys are rolling your eyes like as if these are not actual line items. These are actual line items.
We know.
I have to try to make it the 10 minutes without saying a bad word. I haven't been able to think of like any better reward. You know, if I mess up, I just have to restart the clock. And I gotta make it another 10 minutes. It was actually something that I did to myself in order to try to help make more money on YouTube, because the less I cuss, the better it is for the YouTube videos. So it's a fun game to play, and people love making me not be able to say profanities, gosh darn it.
No, that there was not $50 million spent for condoms in Gaza.
Okay.
There was $0 spent on condoms in the Middle East. That is a complete falsehood and a lie.
So the White House...
And it wouldn't be a bad thing if we did spend money on condoms for the Middle East.
I'm not going
to blame you for it. I'm going to blame the White House.
So
I'm going to blame the president,
Congresswoman.
I'm going to blame the president who upped the dollar amount to $100 million. It is false.
Well, it's $50 million as far as I know.
It is false. There is zero. The answer is zero.
How is
There's
it?
not. So you cannot use that as an example.
As a Republican who worked in the White House.
Is that Shawn Michaels sitting with him? she's a congresswoman and she doesn't have her facts straight. She just listens to AM radio and Fox News and spouts off whatever the fuck God damn it. Whatever the crap they say. I was halfway through. God damn it. That one was on purpose. Fire resist. Good evening. Yeah, a little weed would help. We're going to hear from the top lawyer at the Equal Employment Opportunity Council. She was general counsel at the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, recently fired by Donald Trump.
This is
What up, Amy?
DemocracyNow.org. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. We end today's show with the former top lawyer at the EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. She was fired last week as part of the Trump administration's purge of federal workers and broad attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion policies in the workplace. In a press release from the new EEOC leadership, titled, quote, Removing Gender Ideology and Restoring the EEOC's Role of Protecting Women in the Workplace. The acting EEOC chair, Andrea Lucas, says she'll prioritize compliance and litigation to, quote, defend the biological and binary reality of sex and related rights, including women's rights to single-sex spaces at work, unquote.
I love Amy Goodman.
Joined by Carla Gilbride. She is now the former general counsel of the EEOC after she and two EEOC commissioners were fired last week in the late-night purge. In 2022, Gilbride became the first blind lawyer to argue before the U.S. Supreme Court. She's now the new deputy director of Public Citizen Litigation Group. Welcome to Democracy Now! Why were you fired? Talk about you and the commissioners. Is this even legal?
Hi, Amy. It's great to be here. So I was fired last week as general counsel of the EEOC. That's the position that heads the litigation program. As you mentioned, two of the four commissioners, two who were appointed by President Biden, were also fired, and that is unprecedented. There have never been commissioners fired before the end of their term, and this is not the only agency where Trump has done this in recent weeks. And the EEOC was established as part of the 1964 Civil Rights Act.
Bo Magana. Apparently she did not see it coming. I was also going to say that we can forgive her for her frumpy look and lack of fashion sense. But this is an amazing woman. Welcome in.
To ensure equal opportunity in the workplace based on make sure people are not discriminated on, based on race, based on sex, based on disability, age, or national origin, or religion. And I am concerned that President Trump removing commissioners will imperil that mission. I'm also concerned, based on the press release that you just read, that one of the parts of the EEOC's mission and the litigation program that I worked on as general counsel involved enforcing.
Yeah, T-minus, that was low of me.
2020
Justin.
Supreme Court decision in Bostock versus Clayton County, which recognized discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity as forms of sex discrimination. And the binary of sex that doesn't recognize, that people, the reality, the lived reality and the medical reality, that people have gender identities that do not match their sex assigned at birth, and that if someone is discriminated against because they're transgender, because they're non-binary, or certainly because of their sexual orientation, which is not mentioned in the in that press release, those are protected traits under Supreme Court precedent and under Title VII, and the EEOC needs to be able to vigorously enforce that law as passed by Congress and as enforced by the Supreme Court.
And Carla Gilbride, I'm wondering, you mentioned that this kind of sledgehammer approach is not just at the EEOC, but throughout the federal government in the last few weeks. It reminds me that Mussolini,
comparing him to Mussolini. Here's the thing: is like she's now the director of the citizens advocacy groupers, and so like she went straight to another firm. I mean, she might not be making the same amount of money. She might be making more money. It sounds like she's dedicated to public service, though, so that's to be admired. But I'm glad, like, she personally is not going to suffer as a result of this, I hope. And hopefully she's part of the resistance that actually fights back.
Founder of modern fascism, declared that fascism was, in essence, he called it corporatism, a merger of state and corporate power.
I've brought that up many times.
This merger occurring right here now as more and more billionaires and business people are taking over the functions of government. I'm wondering your sense of what this means to the view of the state as sort of a mediator of the conflicts within society, now to have this government so rapidly taken over by business people.
I am concerned about not only the many actions that the president has taken to exceed his powers under the Constitution, but also the influence of private, unelected representatives of corporations, like Elon Musk, most notably through his role with this shadowy Department of Government Efficiency, which is involved in lots of different agencies. In my new role after leaving the EEOC, I've moved on to...
Yeah, it's Carla Gilbride of the Public Citizens Litigation Group.
To Public Citizen, which recently filed suit against the Treasury Department because at the orders of the Department of Government Efficiency, lots of private information of federal workers, of retirees, of anyone who does business and has financial information stored with the Treasury Department is now in the hands and access has been given over to unknown and unaccountable, individuals who are affiliated with Elon Musk, who are affiliated with Doge, which is not a government department, and the individuals, working with Mr. Musk have not gone through the vetting that individuals would normally have to go through in order to have access to that sensitive private information. And so Public Citizen filed suit to seek an injunction, to seek a stop to this turnover of private information, which there should be government safeguards to protect, but in this unprecedented sort of mixture of private and public authority through involving oligarchs at the highest levels of our government who are unelected, that needs to be stopped, and we hope that the courts will step in to put an end to this unprecedented mixture of private and public power and abuse of executive authority.
Carla Gilbride, before we end, can you describe what happened last week when you and two EEOC commissioners were fired? What happened? What time was it?
So I received the email at around 10:30 p.m. telling
fired by email.
Again, citing this sort of unbounded authority that the president has to have people that agree with him ideologically serving in his administration, that my services were no longer required. And the email also referred to, again, this concept of gender ideology, this idea that the president wanted to be able to enforce the sex binary, even though, as I mentioned, that's contrary to Supreme Court precedent. And there was also a reference in the email to diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is, as I'm sure your listeners are aware, has just become sort of a boogeyman and a concept that is being used to tar all sorts of efforts, including the efforts of the EEOC to enforce the civil rights laws which is what I was doing as general counsel, was overseeing litigation to enforce civil rights laws that have been on the books for 30, in some cases 60 years.
Carla Gilbride, want to thank you for being with us. Just fired by Trump as general counsel of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez.
Steve, I don't know where we're at right now. We should see this as an opportunity, I guess, because the neoliberal order is dead. Like, it's possible that there's just a skeleton of a government that we could take over and refashion into a functioning social democracy. Maybe. I guess that would take us being well organized. And because I seemed a little nihilistic last night when I'm just like, fuck, I don't know what to do. It kind of seems like we're at the point of an actual revolution. I'm a talk show host. I've been in radio and television. I make people look good and sound good. I don't know about revolution. And Robert Evans brought it up on, I think it was It Can Happen Here podcast, that, usually the left doesn't come out on the other side of violent conflict very good. And, a lot of times when you tear shit down, what it's like on the other side isn't better than what we had before. So that's why I was an advocate of working from within. But now we've crossed points of no return on several things. So, and we're going to talk about the CIA here in a little bit. Hey, if he gets all the CIA employees to quit, I'm kind of down with that. That's cool. If he pulls back all our armed forces, it's probably a good move. Now, what he intends to do with the apparatus, is he going to replace people in the CIA with people loyal to him with the same apparatus and powers? That's what I worry about. So, we've got... we're weighing shit out here. And my chat has stopped moving on the screen. And over here, I have no idea what you guys are saying to me. I gotta pull the actual Twitch chat. The imperial apparatus cannibalizing itself. You're exactly right, my lord. And we're in the midst of a paradigm shift. I really would like to have the chat back. Hold on, I can refresh it. I thought I could. Fuck, we're... Fuck, I don't know. I give up. My chat's paused. It usually fixes itself. Where were we at? Okay, oh yeah, we were talking about employees being fired by this unelected plutocracy. Marjorie Taylor Greene had something to say about that earlier today inside of a congressional committee. Brutal exchange.
I now recognize Ms. Greene from Georgia for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm not high enough for
Thank
Marge.
you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for clearing that up. There are 19-year-olds that are serving our country and defending our nation. We believe in merit. We believe in people that can do the job. That's why America elected Donald Trump this past election, and part of his campaign was Doge and Elon Musk. They were on the campaign trail together. As a matter of fact, the last 2 months of the campaign, and America overwhelmingly voted for this effort. I'm so happy that we're talking about cybersecurity, cyber professionals today. Mr. Steyer, in your testimony, you talk about maintaining nonpartisanship as a bedrock principle of civil service. You want to talk about nonpartisanship. Meanwhile, your $24 million nonprofit dedicated to attracting talent for the federal workforce and making the government more effective is funded by some of the most progressive benefactors. This includes the Gates Foundation, the Democracy Fund, and the Ford Foundation. It also hosts galas to honor people like Lisa Monaco and other Biden officials. A goal of your entire organization is essentially de facto job placement to entrench more DEI hires into the federal workforce, the opposite of nonpartisan, apolitical, merit-based civil service. Diversity, equity, inclusion is a huge priority for the partnership as listed on your website. Listed on the website is a framework to integrate the principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion into the partnership's programs, initiatives, and strategies. Since the nonprofit's main initiatives are helping people apply for federal roles and advancing career development in the federal workforce, your nonprofit is aimed at infusing DEI, an inherently partisan practice, into the federal workforce. I worry about this, especially with regards to cybersecurity workforce, who needs high-quality, skill-based positions, such as those serving on Doge. Cybersecurity is extremely important. It shouldn't be about race. It shouldn't be about sexuality. It shouldn't be about identity. In your testimony, you also expressed concerns that President Trump's administration's recent actions and that they will counter democratic principles. Yet your unwritten goal of entrenching more woke employees into the swamp is the opposite of democratic principles. The Trump administration's actions are the embodiment of democratic principles. This is what the American people want. This is what they voted for. The American people overwhelmingly voted for President Trump in a decisive landslide victory to reform how our government operates. Most importantly, how the federal workforce operates. The mission of your partnership is building a better government and stronger democracy. Building a stronger democracy is allowing the will of the people to take effect, not actively working to oppose it. There have been multiple reports that you were in communication with the officials at the Biden administration prior to President Trump taking office. Is that true?
We run the Center for Presidential Transition, so we've helped the Trump campaign when they were trying to set up their transition operation in 2016. We've helped every administration set up right, both Republican and Democratic. Yes, we've been in contact with the Biden administration. We've had an open door to everybody. If you would like to have the facts, I can provide those to you, but let me know, because the reality is we do honor civil servants, not political appointees. The program that you identified on Lisa Monaco, she was presenting an award as smart political leaders
Thank you,
should.
Mr. Steyer. I'll reclaim my time.
Let me know when you ever want me to.
Did you discuss any strategies for how to prevent President Trump from firing federal workers?
I'm sorry, in what context?
Did you discuss any strategies for how to prevent President Trump from firing federal workers?
In what context? I do not think that it's a good idea to offer the entire workforce non-strategically an opportunity to resign and to press them to do so, because you're going to lose cybersecurity professionals that you don't want to lose. If you want
DEI professionals, are you trying to stop President Trump's administration from firing DEI employees that you placed in the federal government?
What are DEI employees?
To stop anyone from getting fired, but that's not the role we play. What we do say, though, is when civil servants, let me finish the answer.
Well, Mr. Steyer, let me ask you one
question.
I have a few.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, if I'm asked a question, do I get to answer it? Okay, then go ahead.
I'd like to reclaim my time. Thank you, Mr. Steyer.
Thank you.
Does your organization receive taxpayer dollars?
Thanks.
Do we receive taxpayer dollars? We
Yes.
provide services to the government, so we do receive taxpayer dollars.
Right.
On the
I
prior
have
question-
3.4 million right here from the American taxpayers. They're not interested in DEI, Mr. Steyer. They're interested in qualified people.
And
Thank
we
you, Mr.
provide
Chairman. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields. I now recognize.
But like you're just saying DEI, like it means nothing, where it means you're just attacking people of color or disabilities or like that's the thing is like now the right wingers are saying like, oh, you're against rooting out corruption. If you're for U.S. aid or USAID, I've heard it said both ways. Then you are against rooting out corruption because they've uncovered billions of dollars of fraud. I'm like, oh yeah, what fraud? Like, what are you talking about? You can't just take things at face value. Right wingers are morons. It upsets me. We're gonna listen to the former, and it probably is a front for a lot of CIA fucking operations that they're laundering money through. I'm sure it probably is. I'm sure they do good work too. It's a mixed bag. Who fucking knows? We don't have enough information to make like qualified decisions. I don't think Trump does either. Anybody that he's got in his administration. Or they know exactly what they're doing. That's why they went after
The Trump
USAID.
administration is continuing to dismantle the U.S. Agency for International Development, posting this message on the agency's main page web. It says on Friday, quote, all USAID direct hire personnel will be placed on administrative leave globally, with the exception of designated personnel responsible for mission-critical functions, core leadership, and specially designated programs. Secretary of State Marco Rubio had this to say.
Our goal for USAID was to align the programs that it fulfills with the foreign policy of the
Committee hearing audio is
Over
horrible.
the last 2 decades, it has not, and it has gotten worse and worse. And multiple administrations have complained about it, but none have done anything about it. We are going to do something about it. This is not about ending foreign aid. It is about structuring it in a way that furthers the national interest of the United States.
For perspective on all of this,
what does that mean?
Natsios. He was the administrator for USAID during the George W. Bush administration. He's now at Texas A&M University. Andrew Natsios, welcome back to the NewsHour. I just want to start with your response to what we've seen over these last few days, essentially a complete takeover of USAID by Elon Musk, and now the entire team placed on leave.
It's not a takeover, it's a destruction of the agency. And I just want to say I've always had respect for Marco Rubio, and I don't now because of the nonsense he just said. AID was more aligned with President Bush's foreign policy than the State Department was, and sometimes even than the Defense Department was. That's not the problem. The problem is they don't have an administrator to run the agency to move it toward the right. Whenever a president takes office, they appoint people who agree with their point of view. When there's a Republican president, AID moves to the right. When there's a Democratic president, AID moves to the left, as it should. The programs that they're attacking right now are Biden administration programs. They're not programs that the career people put in place on their own. They were instructed to it by the White House. Why are you blaming the career people at aid for something that Joe Biden did? I don't understand it. It's ridiculous. AID is one of the great powers, humanitarian powers in the world for the United States to protect the American people and our national interests, and to protect the people in the developing world from disease, from hunger, and to advocate and to change policies to encourage economic growth and investment.
Well, tell us a bit, because
Nazios are like Cheerios, but hateful.
we know Elon Musk says he wants to shut it down. Here's Secretary Rubio saying there's going to be a restructuring. But even in this moment of uncertainty, whatever this is, what are you hearing from people on the ground in the countries USAID serves, and from leaders of the countries who've partnered with the U.S. in this?
Well, the people I talk to are appalled by what's happening, and I'm talking about people in the developing world and people certainly within the agency. The agency is shut down. We can't field DART teams, disaster assistance response teams, which we created 35 years ago when I was the director of the Office of Foreign Disaster Assistance, which go to disasters all over the world, in civil wars, in famines, in refugee emergencies, and earthquakes. We can't field those DART teams anymore. Our anti-polio eradication program is not functioning right now because the missions are shut down.
Oh, that's not good.
All 80 missions? That's the stupidest idea I have ever heard. The most powerful thing we have going for us in the developing world are the USAID missions. Two-thirds of whom are local people. They're people with advanced degrees who work for aid for many years who help run our programs. Two-thirds of the aid workforce aren't even Americans, and they don't work for very high wages, I have to tell you. And they do important work, and shutting this whole system down makes no sense at all. The notion that people have been, who's been complaining about aid? The Defense Department, career military, does not complain about aid. They complain about the State Department if you talk to them. And I have great respect for diplomats. I was a diplomat for a while, but the reality is AID is far more like the Pentagon.
Nazios was a diplomat for a while.
That gets stuff done. State Department is a policy-making body. If you put AID into state, there will be no development program and no emergency programs because we will no longer be operational. It will be a disaster for the United States and a disaster for people in the global south.
Andrew, if I may, let me ask you about the way Secretary Rubio is talking about this, though. He's
I'm sorry I deprived you of your Kennedy pop-up.
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you in.
Spartan, welcome in. I'm having an issue with the chat. It's not popping up on screen, and therefore it's not popping up in my window where I actually read the chat. So I'm going, Curiouser, good evening. I'm going to turn Twitch off and turn it right back on, okay? We're going to see, because I've refreshed the chat multiple times. I'm trying over here. I would like to get this fixed because it's a pain in the ass to see what you guys are saying, and I want to be able to talk to you. So, like, it's gonna go blank on you for a second, then I'll be right back. What up, YouTube peoples? One person watching over on YouTube right now. We'll see if that fixes the issue. I hope so. There, yes! Thank God that fixed it. Welcome back, everybody. No, not your stream. Bad clinically. You get a titty slap.
A titty slap!
Come on now.
Holiday. Tier 2. Welcome back. Welcome back. Curiouser. Glad to have the chat back where I can see it. Glad to have you guys showing up on screen. The White House, I gave clinically a titty slap.
A titty slap!
Come on now.
Spartan, my name is JustinFREAKIN. We do the news, and I think I do a pretty good news show. But, like, we have a very sophomoric sense of humor. We make dick and fart jokes. But not in any kind of like misogynistic or homophobic or transphobic kind of way. Well, I say that, but man, I really tiptoe the line. I say some fucked up shit sometimes, but I own it. Woke dick and fart jokes. Yes, this is part of the congressional record.
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
He actually said that shit. We should get more high. Because you're gonna have to be a little more high for this. According to the White House, Press Secretary I forgot her name. Carolyn. Somebody help me out. What's her fucking name? She's very blonde. She's very Fox News. Carolyn Levitt. Is that it? Something. Lyle Lovett. Close enough. You know what? I try to let you guys know who's on screen. Carolyn Levitt or Lovett or something like that is her name. But she is accusing USAID of giving money to Politico and several other news organizations.
Been very clear. The policy of this administration is that there are only two sexes, male and female.
Oh my God.
Pretty simple. Brian Glenn.
Yes. USAID has gotten a lot of attention in the last couple of days with some of these bizarre things that we've been, taxpayers have been funding. Now it looks like there are a couple media outlets that have been dragged into this conversation as far as USAID funding as well. Does the president have any comment on that?
So upon coming out here to the briefing room, I was made aware.
She just came out to the briefing room, so congratulations. Early Pride Month celebration. This woman's face is cracking me up.
Of the funding from USAID to media outlets, including Politico, who I know has a seat in this room. And I can confirm that the more than 8 million taxpayer dollars that have gone to essentially subsidizing subscriptions to Politico on the American taxpayers.
Yes, that's the OAN dude. That's Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend. Does somebody know the name? His name escapes me right now. But yes, he's Marjorie Taylor Greene. Brian Glenn. He is Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend. Question marks. They can both do better.
Dime will no longer be happening. The Doge team is working on canceling those payments now. Again, this is a whole of government effort to ensure that we are going line by line when it comes to the federal government's books. And this president and his team are making decisions across the board on, do these receipts serve the interests of the American people? Is this a good use of the American taxpayers' money? If it is not, that funding will no longer be sent abroad, and American taxpayers will see significant savings because of that effort. Thank you. I'd like to give some love to the back row. I've heard that unfortunately they haven't been called on in years past. So Reagan, why don't you go ahead?
Thanks, Caroline. The WHCA announced that comedian Amber Ruffin, who has called the president a toddler with his pants pulled down, will be the entertainment for this year's Correspondents' Dinner. Does the White House have a reaction to this choice?
What?
Will the president be attending the dinner?
Who the fuck is Amanda Ruffin?
Certainly an interesting choice. I have the president's invitation on my desk. I have the invitation for myself on my desk as well. Haven't talked to the president about it. When he makes his decision, I will let you know. But definitely an interesting choice of the comedian. I'll talk to the boss about it and see what we do.
Caroline.
Sure.
I'm sorry, I called her Carolyn.
Yes.
On the executive order set to be signed today, you said that this will be enforced. Can you spell out for schools and the public how exactly the administration plans to?
I'm still not getting her name. Caroline Levitt?
And on top of that, there are human rights groups who say that this could expose kids to discrimination. What is your response to that?
I think kids have already been exposed to discrimination, especially young women and girls who have been forced to...
We got a DEI comedian.
...with biological men who have been forced to compete on playing fields.
I'm sorry, I didn't think we were going to get to the transphobia.
Unfair and unsafe, and again, an incredibly
Is Amber good? Are we going to enjoy the Correspondents' Dinner? We're definitely going to watch it. So let's talk about the money to Politico. All right, awesome. Well, we're going to watch the Correspondents' Dinner. We'll cover that live. Oh, is she like a writer for Seth Meyers? We'll like her, and we're the target audience. Doge targets government media subscriptions after MAGA attacks. This is from Axios. The executive branch will stop spending money on Politico subscriptions. Apparently that's what the $8 million was, if that was the real number. After paying millions of dollars to the news outlets last year, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said at a briefing on Wednesday, "I was made aware of the funding of U.S. aid to media outlets, including Politico. This is a whole of government effort to ensure that we are going line by line when it comes to the federal government's books. It's an easy political lever for Trump administration to pull to undermine media without facing legal or regulatory hurdles. Where right-wing personalities are using usaspending.gov, I've seen several of them share it out, to dig up more payments from the government to media organizations like the New York Times, AP, and Reuters for products and subscriptions. Look for those organizations to be on the hot seat next. A fake theory about Politico being funded by the government is catching fire in right-wing circles. It's a prime example of how false information sweeps through social media, and it could spell trouble for Politico and any other media organization that has contracts for subscriptions with the government. Politico hasn't responded to Axios' request for comment. Likely story. The story appears to have started when Politico missed payroll on Tuesday because of a tech snag. Media reporter Will Sumner notes MAGA media dug into public records on usaspending.gov and uncovered that the government paid Politico $8.2 million in the last 12 months. People linked with two facts and wrongly assumed that Politico missed payroll because those millions came from U.S. aid. That turned into dozens of viral posts on X, reposted by Elon Musk himself. It appears 24,000 of that 8.2 million came from U.S. aid. Okay, so it wasn't 8 million from U.S. aid to Politico. It's 24,000. That's much more reasonable. So 8.2 million was like their whole of government contracts. So 8.2 million was the amount the entire government paid Politico, and it's likely the cost of premium subscriptions such as Politico Pro. This is paywalled content that goes deeper on policy and industry and costs thousands per year. Politico CEO Goli Shekosalami. Sheck Holes Salami. Sheck Holes Salami. And global editor-in-chief John Harris. Sheck Holes Salami. I shouldn't make fun because I shouldn't make fun of his name, but like I think I'm close on the pronunciation. I don't think I fucked it up too bad. Sheik Holes Salami. And global editor-in-chief John Harris in a memo to staffers saying we welcome the conversation around the value of Politico subscriptions. The Politico bosses noted that the company had never been the beneficiary of government programs or subsidies, that the overwhelming majority of subscriptions came from the private sector. Please know that our business is strong and enduring, they said. The government spends money on subscriptions and advertising with various media companies. Agency heads are allowed to dictate that spending according to General Services Administration. There aren't federal laws that require the government to spend ad or subscription dollars with certain outlets, although there are some laws around public notice advertising that require state governments to run ads in local newspapers. So there you get the real story. Need to get a Archer phrasing drop to go in here. This is apparently a huge fight breaking out in a House oversight hearing. Democrats demanding a subpoena of Elon Musk.
Cited the role of Elon Musk. It's a puzzling role for many people, certainly on this side of the aisle, and I think for some on yours. Who is this unelected billionaire that he can attempt to dismantle federal agencies, fire people, transfer them, offer them early retirement, and have sweeping changes to agencies without any congressional review, oversight, or concurrence. Therefore, Mr. Chairman, given his prominence and his importance, I move that the committee subpoena Elon Musk to come before it as a witness at the earliest possible moment. And I so move.
There's been a motion and second. The motion is not debatable.
This is the hearing that Ro Khanna missed.
Mr. Chairman, why is it not debatable? Point of order.
It is debatable.
Mr. Chair, I strike the last word.
Hold on.
Mr. Chairman.
I'm going to table the motion. Okay.
What's that dude's name? That's fucking Comer.
Elon Musk coming in and talking to us about his work and how he's enriched himself for $64 billion.
There's
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Chair recognizes Dr. Fox.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move to table the motion.
There's a motion to table. Is there a second?
Chairman.
Second by
Point of
Mr.
order.
Higgins.
Point of order,
Now,
Mr.
the
Chairman.
motion is not debatable. As many
Point of order, Mr.
are in
Chairman.
favor of tabling. Point of order. State your point.
Mr. Chairman, I think it's outrageous that this committee will not even entertain a motion.
No, you state your.
Chairman, that's not a point of order.
Somebody
You know,
who's breaking the law
agree. Point
and
of order.
dismantling our federal agencies
Chairman, I
and
agree.
hiring federal employees
No, we don't listen to demagogues.
data,
Out of
and
order.
you will not
Out of order.
even
Out of order.
entertain a motion
The
to
motion
bring
is
this
Chairman,
in
this is
front of the
demagoguery. This is
oversight
out of order.
committee.
As are in favor of tabling.
Yes,
signify.
let's have order in this country.
Stansbury, you're out of order. You know you're out of order. You know the rules of this committee. There's been a motion.
Mr.
and a
Elon
second to
Musk is
table.
out of
Now,
order and dismantling.
He's out of order.
I call the question.
I'm not out of order. You're out of order.
Motion by Dr. Fox, second by Mr. Higgins to table. All those in favor of tabling signify by
I motion to suck my balls.
All those opposed signify by
All those
saying
opposed say nay.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the motion
Mr.
is
Chairman,
tabled.
I ask for a recorded
A
vote.
recorded vote is ordered. We will set up for the clerk to call the roll.
This is the Oversight Committee. The hearing is on right-sizing the government. You see my wafu, Rashida Tlaib, sitting next to Ariana Presley in the front row. I'm not sure who that is in the second row. It's kind of blurry that's behind the chat. Maybe Raskin, but looks a little bit young.
We'll stand at ease when we get the staff ready to go for this.
For those watching at home, they don't have the votes in the room.
Socialist Aunt, good evening. For those watching at home, they don't have the votes in the room. Well, not the Democrats don't have the votes.
Mr. Chairman, speaking of efficiency of our time, since we're just sitting here, I would love to hear from someone why we don't want to have Mr. Musk come testify.
Gentleman's not recognized. This is a committee hearing about eliminating wage fraud and abuse. You've pulled a parliamentary move, which you have the right to do. This wasn't expected. It wasn't in the
hell yeah, new couch
agenda. We're trying to print everything and get it ready to have the roll call vote.
Well, speaking of abuse, we have someone who
Mr.
is
Chairman, he's
shutting
out of
down
order.
federal
You're out of
programs.
order. You're out of order.
You're out of order.
He's out of order. This is just
Mr. Chairman,
demagoguery again.
can you control the other
That's
side?
not what demagoguery means.
Hashtag irony.
Hashtag irony. What the fuck is going on? Somebody's drumming on their microphone. I love this shit.
Mr. Chairman, it appears the clerk is ready for roll call. Mr. Jordan. Mr. Turner. Mr. Gosar.
Fuck Gosar.
Mr. Timmons.
Fuck you, Timmons.
Miss Luna. Mr. McGuire. Anna.
A subpoena for Elon Musk.
More demagoguery.
That's not what demagoguery means.
Motion is okay, guys.
It's out of order. All right, order. All right, let's go.
Miss Stansbury votes no. Mr. Garcia. Mr. Garcia votes no. Mr. Frost. Mr. Frost votes no. Miss Lee. Miss Lee votes no.
You can see Nancy Mace glowing over there in the top right
No
corner.
on the motion to table our motion to have
Middle right
Elon Musk
corner.
at this committee.
Mr. Kassar votes no. Ms. Crockett.
No on giving the American people the transparency that they deserve by bringing this
Demagoguery again.
before.
That's not what demagoguery means. Demagoguery means to take a minority group and demonize them
votes no.
for political purposes.
Mr.
That's what
Subramanian.
Republicans do all the time.
Mr. Subramaniam votes no. Miss Ansari.
They can't learn to feel embarrassment.
Miss Ansari votes no. Mr. Bell.
No.
All right, Bobert here.
Mr. Bell votes no. Miss Simon.
So you're seeing Republicans file in.
Simon votes no. Mr. Min.
Min is a hard no.
The Democrats are trying to take advantage
Miss Presley.
of not having very many Republicans
Miss
at the
Presley
hearing.
votes no. Miss Tlaib.
I decided to put my residents before Elon Musk, and I'm voting no.
Miss Tlaib votes no. Mr. Chairman.
You can see Lauren Boebert taking her
I vote
seat.
yes, and
Mr. Chairman votes yes.
Mr. Chairman, how am I recorded?
yeah. Who recognized?
Mr. Chairman, how am I recorded?
Oh, has Mr. Timmons been recorded?
Mr. Timmons is not recorded.
Fuck Mr. Timmons.
Mr. Timmons votes aye.
Mr. Chairman, how am I recorded? Representative Perry?
Mr. Perry is not recorded.
Representative Perry votes aye.
Mr. Chairman, how is
Mr.
Bobert?
Perry votes aye.
Mr. Chairman, how is Bobert recorded?
One dude already got back up and left.
Bobert votes aye.
Miss Boebert votes aye.
Mr. Chairman, how is Burleson recorded?
Mr. Burleson is not recorded.
Votes aye.
Mr. Burleson.
We pay these motherfuckers to be at these hearings.
Mr. Grothman is not recorded.
I'll vote aye.
Mr. Grothman votes aye.
Yes,
Chairman,
Ro Khanna was.
Mr. Gosar is not recorded.
Aye.
Mr. Gosar votes aye.
The reason this did not pass today to subpoena Elon Musk.
Mr. Donald's recorded.
Mr. Donalds is not recorded.
Aye.
Mr. Donalds votes aye.
That's how has Mr. Do we have a member en route?
Point.
It was rowdy.
Will the clerk please tally the report, the roll call?
Mr. Chairman, on this vote, the ayes are 20, the nays are 19.
The ayes have it, and the motion fails. And I might add, Mr. Ranking Member, you all could have invited Mr. Musk to be your minority witness, but you all chose to have a college professor, which is what you normally choose to have as a witness at any hearing, and that's fine. But you all had an opportunity to invite Elon Musk, and you chose not to. So,
Mr. Chairman, could I just
Yes.
respond? Thank you. You make a point, but from our point of view, Given the prominence Mr. Musk has been given by President Trump in this administration, sweeping unprecedented powers, from our point of view, he is not a minority witness. He ought to be a full committee witness because of the prominence and the role he's playing, and subject to the oversight and scrutiny of this committee. Thank you.
I ask unanimous consent that Representative Nunn from Iowa be waived on to the committee for.
Oh my god, he clawed the shit out of me just then. Damn it, Smokes. You're so cute, though. Oh, he's purring so loud. I love this cat so much. Yes, I do. Ben Fox, good evening. Welcome in. Ow! I also answered to Justin. It happens a lot. It must, like, G and N must be like right close together on the on the keyboard. Also, Justine. I get a lot of Justines. I'll answer to it. Representative Maxwell Frost talking about the takeover of our government.
I rise for every American whose life has made better because of the work of federal civil servants. President Donald Trump and his power-crazed posse of billionaire bosses are firing our federal workers.
That's a mouthful.
Our quality of life is degraded and diminished because of that. They're moving to install their unqualified followers to do the dirty work of a hostile takeover of every facet of our lives, like Medicaid, the Weather Service, and the Department of Education. Their deferred resignation plan is a scam. Firefighters, nurses, TSA agents, park rangers, foreign aid workers, they are refusing to go quietly in the face of an authoritarian, and I commend them. America is indeed at a fork in the road. Do we want qualified, respected workforce serving us, or do we want an army of clueless yes men working to serve the selfish rich? I know what I want, what the American
The first
people want,
one.
and what
The
the
first
people
one.
deserve, a government that works for them. Thank you to our federal workforce and our civil servants.
That was Frost earlier today talking about the takeover of our government. Our favorite senator decided that he wanted to defend Elon Musk's hostile takeover. I'm sure he's going to say something crazy, so let's enjoy.
Mr. President.
Senator from Georgia.
Thank you, Mr. President. I yield 30 minutes of my post-cloture debate time on the vote nomination to Senator Merkley and 30 minutes of my post-cloture debate time on the vote nomination to Senator Schumer.
The senator has that right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Jim Justice overseeing the Senate today.
Mr. President.
The senator from Louisiana.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I have 8 requests for committees to meet during today's session of the Senate. They have the approval of the majority and minority leaders.
Duly noted.
Thank you, Mr. President. With me today is one of my colleagues from my Senate office, Mr. James Shea. He is one of my right-hand people. And
what's he do with his right hand?
That he could join me today. Gosh, I don't know where to begin. I've been in the Senate for 8 years.
It's only been 8 years?
In dog years, that's 56 years.
It feels like forever, and you are a dog.
Like 56 years. I've learned a lot, met a lot of interesting people. You know, before I got here, everybody told me about the Washington bubble. And I said, you know, how serious could they be? Well, it's true. There is a Washington bubble. This place is different. It's in its own way, sometimes disappointing, sometimes refreshing. It is deeply weird. For one thing, common sense is illegal in Washington. It's illegal. For another thing, I discovered that this is a town of very frustrated ex-class presidents. And there's a Washington way of doing things. And when things aren't done that way, when somebody challenges the status quo, many, not all, but many of these frustrated ex-class presidents in Washington, on the Hill and otherwise,
what?
They get excited, not in a good way.
This motherfucker ran for class president and lost.
They can't get their mind around doing anything other than the Washington way. They, some of them, particularly in the media, they go almost catatonic, or the exact opposite. They foam at the mouth, and they really get upset. They can make a Valium nervous.
Michael, good evening.
It's like the world, we're not doing things the way we've always done them, and the world's going to spin off its axis.
He did indeed go to Oxford.
I want to try to put in perspective.
He puts on that folksy accent.
My Democratic friends have been talking about today.
To fool his voters.
They're very, very, very upset at President Trump. And they're very, very, very upset at Elon Musk. President Trump ran for president on a number of issues. One of the issues he ran on, he said it almost every day. He said, if you elect me president, I'm going to go through the entire budget and review all the spending, line by line. If I heard him say that once, I heard him say it 1,000 times.
Him personally.
Been doing. He went out and appointed, through an executive order, Elon Musk, who some people like him, some don't, but he's not a dummy.
Not like he is a dummy.
He's a very successful business person.
He's a very stupid man.
Security clearance.
Did he get the clearance?
Issued an executive order, and he turned to Mr. Musk, and he said, Mr. Musk, I want you.
I thought he couldn't get the clearance.
I said I was going to do in the election. I want you to go through all the spending, line by line. Now, let me ask you something, Mr. President. How are you going to review the spending without reviewing the spending? How are you going to audit the spending by an agency without auditing the agency? That's what I mean when I say common sense is illegal in Washington, D.C. That's what Mr. Musk is doing. He's put together a crackerjack team, and they're going through everybody's spending line by line, item by item. And my Democratic colleagues are very, very, very upset. And they've been very eloquent. They've talked about the process and President Trump.
Nobody knows if he has security clearance. Like the White House has apparently called him a special employee or some shit. but can't answer questions about his security clearance.
Executive order supposedly,
As if it fucking matters.
Supposedly violates the Constitution, and they've accused Mr. Musk of having conflicts of interest. And
well, yeah.
People say he's sitting over there with a notepad, copying down everybody's social security number, and he's going to go use it to make money. I mean, people in this town, not just my Democratic colleagues, they're really upset. They've never said.
C-. Thank you for throwing out the gift sub.
But that's what Mr. Musk is doing. But you know what? I've listened.
John Kennedy was supposed to break down our federal spending, but all he's really done is list his gripes about the other side's
It's been going on for a week.
criticism of Elon.
Screaming like they're part of a prison riot. Oh my God, look at what Musk is doing. He's looking at the spending.
I want to know what spending he's looking at.
Talk about the process and debate whether it's constitutional and discuss how many lawyers can dance on the head of a pin. But you know,
it does feel like it's a public looting mock.
Single person who's upset with President Trump or Mr. Musk talk about what he's found. They don't want to talk about the spending.
What did he find?
The waste of taxpayer money that he's found. I mean, that's the point of all this. I tell you who is interested. The American people.
You tell us, motherfucker.
The people in America who get up every day and go to work and obey the law and pay their taxes and try to educate their kids and try to do the right thing by their kids and try to save a little money for retirement and have had to live through 20% inflation under President Biden. They understand what Musk is doing. They understand spending porn and wasting taxpayer money.
Spending porn.
Mr. Musk started with the USAID. That handles a lot of foreign aid for America.
That doesn't make any sense. What is spending porn? If you were watching spending porn, it would be somebody like going and spending money at a shop, right? Like a influencer. That's spending porn. Like, oh, let's go drop some gold bars over here. That's you're watching it.
They're generous.
That's what pornography is.
You know, when you're homeless, we'll house you. When you're
no,
when hungry, we'll feed you. In our country, when you're too poor to be sick, we'll pay for your doctor. And we send a lot of money overseas to help our world.
None of those things are true. If you don't have a house, they will not house you. Not only that, they will bulldoze you over if you don't have a house. Kill you. That happened in Atlanta just a couple of weeks ago. He said, if you're hungry, we will feed you. That does not happen. What world is he living in? He did say that, right? I'm not.
I started with the USAID. That handles a lot of foreign aid for America. American people are very generous. In our country, you know, when you're homeless, we'll house you. When you're hungry, we'll feed you. In our country, when you're too poor to be sick, we'll pay for your doctor. And
what world does he live in?
To help our world's neighbors. And the USAID is in charge, in large part, of that. But I'll tell you what Mr. Musk discovered. I find it fascinating.
He's talking about Washington bubbles over here.
That the American taxpayers are giving money to Afghanistan. He found that we are giving...
That GoFundMe should cut this into a commercial.
Yemen. He found that we are giving money...
Use the Curb Your Enthusiasm music.
I didn't know that. Some of our foreign aid is going to Yemen, Afghanistan, Syria. He found that the USAID has 10,000 people. 10,000 people, employees.
Sounds like countries we fucked up.
$40 billion.
Just throwing that out there.
Mr. Musk also found, and I'm not saying that all of this money is wasteful. I'm not. Some of this money, I'm sure, does some good.
What?
That's why Secretary Rubio is going to revamp the department to separate the good from the bad. But this is the kind of stuff Mr. Musk found. He found that the USAID gave money to support electric vehicles in Vietnam. Our money, taxpayer money. He found that
How much?
USAID gave money to a transgender clinic in India.
Okay.
I bet you the American people didn't know that. He found that the USAID gave $1.5 million to a Serbian LGBT.
If I had to guess, when he says transgender clinic, is a clinic that does many other services, but also offers gender affirming care. I would have said, like, who knows what that even looks like in India? In what context? EVs, and like, is it a bad thing if we invested in EVs in Vietnam? If $10,000, how much actually was it? Like, Kennedy's leaving off the details here.
EQ group called Grupa.
Grupa.
Dodgy. I probably mispronounced that. My apologies.
Oh, I do it all the time, Kennedy.
$1.5 million to, quote, advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in Serbia's workplaces and business communities. What else did Mr. Musk found that my colleagues don't want to talk about?
Tadpole.
Well, he reviewed a study and then went and checked it. The study was done by the Middle East Forum. They found that USAID spent $164 million to support radical organizations around the world.
What do you mean by radical?
Cub Scout troops here. We're talking about radical organizations around the world. They gave $122 million of that to groups aligned with foreign terrorist organizations. Our taxpayer money. According to this report,
I don't like your definition of terrorist organization.
USAID has given millions of dollars to, quote, organizations in Gaza. Control.
Great. Do you know who needs aid really bad?
Why aren't my colleagues talking about that? Recipients of the money they found have, quote, called for their lands to...
One of the greatest humanitarian crisis of my lifetime. And you're upset that we sent $122 million of aid to them in an absolute devastated region. Are you serious?
Be cleansed from the impurity of Jews.
Wow.
That's what we're giving foreign aid to. What else? I'm not going to spend my whole time talking about this, but nobody else is talking about it. They're just talking about the process. And Mr. Musk, and he's a mean guy.
He is a mean guy.
He shouldn't be looking at our spending.
He shouldn't.
Well, he is. And I kind of find what he's found out interesting. He found that we gave $2 million, USAID did, for sex changes in Guatemala.
Based.
We gave $20 million to produce a new Sesame Street show in Iraq.
Sesame Street's awesome.
We gave $4.5 million of taxpayer money to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan. He found that we gave $10 million, USAID did, of meals to an Al-Qaeda-linked terrorist group called the Nusra Front. Mr. Musk found
they were hungry.
we gave 7.9.
We were also probably supporting them with arms at the time.
Project that would teach Sri Lankan journalists to avoid binary gendered language.
Okay.
We took, the USAID took $8 million and gave it to a bunch of journalists in Sri Lanka to teach them how to avoid binary gendered language. I don't know what the hell binary gendered language is.
Oh, you absolutely do. I know you do. I've got you on tape saying it.
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
Were you impressed by what he had to say? Here was a counter to what he was saying from Representative Jasmine Crockett during the House Oversight Committee hearing.
Ms. Crockett.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. It's the faux outrage for me. It's as faux news that I'm hearing, because somehow you guys, and when I say you guys, I am referring to my Republican colleagues, pretend as if you are the heroes of the story. But let me remind you who set the House on fire. It was y'all. So let me go ahead and handle these receipts, because I know that I always have to have proof, even though I guess our education system is failing us, because it seems like facts don't seem to faze people that vote for y'all. But I'm going to do it anyway. So when we talk about debt, I'd ask for unanimous consent to enter into a record this article that says Donald Trump built a national debt so big, even before the pandemic, that it'll weigh down the economy for years.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you so much. In fact, it talked about the fact that he ran up our debt almost $8 trillion. It was estimated to be $7.8 trillion at that time. And this is it's actually the third biggest increase ever under any presidential administration. So I don't understand how y'all gonna play the heroes. I also want to just kind of be clear about some basic level setting of civics, because it seems like civics is evading us. And listen, Governor, I actually appreciate you. I know that in today's times, for whatever reason, if you got a D or an R in front of your name, it has to be all hostile. Listen, I am a former business owner. If I was not sitting in this seat, I would still have my law firm. But, you know, we have rules, right? So I'm not allowed to practice law. I'm not allowed to do a lot of other things, because ethics decides that that's not really a good thing, to make sure that the American people can trust that I don't have any divided interest. In fact, we do that for people that run our treasury typically. So I'm curious to know if you have an elected treasurer in your state. And you do, actually.
We do.
I know you do, because I looked him up. And I'm curious to know. So it's my guess that he's the one that actually controls all of the treasury systems that you have, correct?
Some of the investments.
He controls some of the investments, but also monies that need to be disseminated by the state, that's done by him, correct?
Department of Management in the Treasurer's Office.
Okay. In the Treasurer's Office.
Two separate agencies.
Okay. But you have an agency that does that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And as you are having this agency do that, these are people that have some sort of ethics that they have to follow, I'm sure. I'm going out on a limb because I don't know how anything works in Iowa. I'm just being honest with you.
Yes.
Okay.
She's just a witness at the right sizing the government hearing.
The Democrats are not against efficiency. In fact, the last time that this country actually ran to the extent that there was a balanced budget and actually there was a surplus, it was a Democrat in the White House. His name was President Clinton. So we are not against this. What we are against is this idea that we will evade the Constitution, or we will evade our own constitutional. In fact, it's not even an invasion. At this point, it feels as if y'all have just decided that y'all are going to castrate your constitutional duty and hand it over to someone who is unelected. It doesn't matter how many cheerleaders he had on the field campaigning for him. That doesn't mean that he gets to go in and sit atop any of our agencies. And the fact that we had a vote today and we asked to bring him in because we have a constitutional duty, we all took our oath, and maybe some of y'all just don't take it seriously. But I take it seriously when I take an oath to do a job, and my job is to look out and make sure that we don't have any kings or queens in this country. But it seems like y'all have decided that it's going to be Mr. King and his queen, and y'all can pick which one is which. But either way, Governor, I'm curious to know if you know the answers to these questions. Which party controls the White House?
Republican.
Which party controls the Senate?
Republican.
Which party controls the House?
Republican.
Is that about what the makeup is in Iowa?
Yes.
And that has allowed you to be able to get your agenda across, correct?
Yes.
And you haven't had to bring in somebody to basically usurp any types of norms because you worked through the process, correct?
Well, I did executive orders,
Yes or no?
2080
Yes or
agreements,
no?
and then
Yes-
went
yes
to the
or no? Because
legislature
we've
as
only
well.
got
It wasn't all of the
I'm
above.
gonna reclaim my time because
All
we
of
only
the
got
above.
so much time left.
All of the
I
above.
also want to point out that you specifically talked about that you recently had 3 national declarations for disasters, and I want to enter into the record a unanimous consent. Trump moves to abolish FEMA, shift disaster response to states.
Without objection.
And my final unanimous consent I'd ask says that Mike Johnson's budget plan is at risk of collapse, even though we know that y'all control all 3 levers of government.
Yes.
So what y'all want to do?
That's going to be crazy.
Fix it and just go through the process. And honestly, there's nothing that we will be able to say about it. And with that, I will yield.
We haven't talked about it on this show yet, but we're coming close to the budget deadline, which is in March. And apparently Johnson doesn't have the votes within his own caucus. So we're going to see what happens. Does he get ousted as Speaker of the House? What's going to go on? He's been a loyal toady for Trump. The CIA is offering buyouts to all of its employees, every single one of them.
Well, first it was the FBI. Now it's the CIA that's facing a major shakeup. America's spies agency is being offered sweeping buyout. That means every CIA staff.
I'm kind of into it.
In exchange for about 8 months' pay. The move is meant to weed out those who don't support the MAGA agenda, and the buyouts are meant to support.
See, that's the part.
Goals of targeting drug cartels and undermining China. Meanwhile, over at the J. Edgar Hoover building, it's even more tense. The FBI today complied with a DOJ demand to give information on thousands of agents who worked January 6th cases.
Oh, by the way, nothing matters anymore, and this is not tax advice. Do not take my advice. This is not tax for legal purposes. Cheat on your taxes. Save fucking whatever. Get as much fucking money as you can. Maybe the last time you ever have to file taxes. We might not have an IRS by the time we get back next year. So, lie. Get all the money you can. Say whatever the fuck you need to on your tax. Because who is giving a shit anymore? Who works for the government? But this is also not tax advice. You should not listen to me. Legally, I'm stupid and no one should take my advice and do the thing I just said. Absolutely not. I am not responsible if you decide to cheat on your tax. But you probably should, because who gives a fucking shit? Cheat on your tax. Who cares? 30 kids. You may I don't even look up the amount of money that'll get you the highest return. Like you don't have if you don't have a W-2, make up one. Who gives a shit? Cheat on your taxes in Minecraft. This was once again not tax advice, and you should never take any kind of financial advice from JustinFREAKIN, who knows nothing about anything, and especially not numbers.
You take your 33 and a third chance, minus my 25% chance, and you got an 8 and a third chance of winning.
But go ahead and cheat on your taxes.
Talking about ID numbers and job titles, not names. Several FBI agents even filed a lawsuit accusing the DOJ of conducting a loyalty purge. The acting director of the FBI, Brian Driscoll, has tried to stay
Look at this guy
defending the rank and file and becoming somewhat of a G-man folk hero along the way, with AI memes like this one, celebrating him
Oh
for
my
pushing
God.
back on the agency's purge. But soon, Driscoll will have to face his new boss, the newly confirmed Attorney General Pam Bondi.
Pam Bondi.
It's her first full day tomorrow. Lots to get to on all of this tonight with National Security Attorney Mark Zaid and former top counterterrorism executive at the FBI, Christopher O'Leary, who's currently a senior VP for global operations at the SUFIN Group.
The SUFIN Group.
Chris, let me begin with you. I want to know what your reaction is to now CIA employees, all of them really, being offered buyouts. Combine that with the FBI.
Yeah, it was a party line vote except for Fetterman.
Is this going to put Americans in danger?
Well, Laura, simple answer is yes. The combination between the FBI and the CIA, those are two of our primary agencies responsible for our national security, whether it's counterterrorism, great power competition, you name it, from head to toe.
I think they're two of the agencies
or what protect
most responsible for fucking up our national security.
Eroding the workforce or really getting after the morale and really empowerment of the workforce is going to have a direct impact on national security at every level. It will also have, from the FBI standpoint, a real impact on fighting crime on the streets, which is what this administration says they want to do. But FBI agents and leadership, they run those violent crime task forces around the country with state and local partners. They run the transnational organized crime task forces around the world. So really reducing their ability to do all of this is going to have a measurable effect on the crime in the United States and in the region.
I mean, I can't imagine having that level of turnover in an instant. At this moment in time, Mark. And
They're not going to dismantle the apparatus. It's not like we're going to go without an FBI. They're just going to replace them with Trump loyalists. And that's fucking scary. So, I mean, to be real about it, if it breaks the FBI, if it breaks the CIA, and there's not going to be anything in their place, I'm kind of down with that. Once again, can we take control of the apparatus? Is it possible? It's a mild loyalty purge, and that's probably what it is. Nothing good is going to come of it, unfortunately. The Senate is teeing up its final vote on the Trump OMB nominee Russell Vought. The Senate on Wednesday teed up a final vote on the nomination of Russell Vought to lead the White House Budget Office. The Senate voted 53 to 47 along party lines on Wednesday to limit debate on Vaught's nomination to lead the Office of Management and Budget in the face of staunch opposition from Democrats. Unless Democrats agree to yield back time, a final vote is likely to take place Thursday evening because they're holding debate open for as long as they can. I think it's 30 hours. I believe it's going on right now. The Democrats are pulling an old-fashioned filibuster on this nominee, but ultimately it's going to fail. So Democrats have come out strongly against Voight's nomination in the wake of a memo that OMB issued last month directing agencies to temporarily pause disbursement of loans, grants, and other financial assistance to determine if spending is in line with the president's agenda. The White House has since rescinded the sweeping memo amid confusion over what programs would be impacted. Do you have a request on cat, or just any cat will do? I might have to pack a new bowl. I got a Maynard as the closest. He kicked me pretty good in the face. Beanie time, you say? I don't know where it is. It might be right here. Oh. Yep, looked out. Get my hobo on. I look like a homeless person. An unhoused person. Homeless person is derogatory. Hold on. I gotta get a bowl packed, I think. I gotta put some more in my pipe. I'm not high enough for this shit. Schumer talked about the OMB nominee earlier today and why the Democrats are opposed to him.
How terrible this nominee is. We're going to be speaking all night. We want Americans every hour, whether it's 8 p.m. or 3 a.m., to hear how bad Russell Vought is and the danger he poses to them in their daily lives if he were put as head of OMB. We want to sound the alarm on the reckless and lawless things
I'm not a fan of John Voight.
Russell Vought will do to American families, to sound the alarm on the chief architect of Project 2025, to sound the alarm on Russell Vought.
Yeah, Michael, unfortunately, our government kind of depends on an informed electorate. And that is the opposite of what we have in this country.
As director of Senate OMB, thanks to Senate Republicans.
Gravity, welcome in. Thank you for being a freaking follower. Light one up, tip one back.
Donald Trump.
This one's for Gravity Works.
His nominees, no matter how unqualified, no matter how harmful to the American people. And of all of the nominees, of all of the extremists that Donald Trump elevated, of all the hard right ideologues who have come before the Senate, none of them hold a candle to Russell Vought. He is far and away the one most dangerous to the American people.
So this is the nominee they're throwing the biggest fit about.
But make no mistake about it, my fellow Americans.
How many fucking shit? I didn't do the
in Donald Trump's second term. He will be the quarterback
counter
of White House policy.
Here we go.
For all intents, he will run the command center of the Trump administration. And his decision.
Chainsaw, good evening, my friend. Somebody give Chainsaw a shout out. My boy deserves it. I think I dropped in on you yesterday. And I couldn't figure out how to log into your website. It fucked with me. Ah, God damn it.
Reverberate from one end of America to the other, in every city, in every town, and every household, in every rural area. And of all the people, Donald Trump could have picked to lead the White House policy, he chose the godfather of the ultra-right.
Jon Stewart's right. We need to get rid of Schumer.
Think about it. Russell Vought is Project 2025 incarnate. Russell Vought,
incarnate,
chief architect of 2025. It's intellectual inspiration, and now he will have the ability as head of OMB to put these awful ideas into effect. And who will suffer? Not the billionaires who seem to be running the Trump administration, but the average American, the tens of millions, the hundreds of millions of average Americans.
What do you know about the average American, Schumer?
Let me say this. There can be no worse thing for no worse proposal for the American people than Project 2025. There can be no position more able.
Is that what we're going with?
Terrible proposal than director of OMB. And
Democrats are so bad at messaging.
Who would be worse for running 2025 from OMB than Russell Vought?
Woefully inadequate to meet the moment.
Triple loser. The worst program, the worst place to put it, because it does the most danger.
I'll tell you where to put it, Schumer.
All rolled up.
This is who we have as the leader of the opposition party in the face of a fascist takeover of government. Good luck. He wants to destroy the Department of Education next. And you know what? That's where my student loans are through, right? If he destroys the Department of Education, do I still have to pay my student loans? Once again, trying to look on the bright side of this and how we might be able to meet the moment and harness enough energy that's anti-Trump to be able to reclaim the government and put some other kind of, social democracy together. Maybe we need a new constitution. Who fucking knows? Oh, God damn it. I'm very high, so I wouldn't listen to me. But Trump wants to abolish the Department of Education. The people that want to abolish the Department of Education should have to tell me exactly what the Department of Education does, because it doesn't make educational policy. A lot of these idiots don't know that. All it does is issue grants and federal aid, and it kind of shapes certain policies through that. Title IX is an example of how it protects women in sports. That there has to be an equal playing field. Andy Biggs trying to abolish OSHA. They're coming after the good parts of government, and I hate that.
We begin tonight with a debate that affects millions of families with school-age kids and really impacts all of us.
Love this guy's haircut, unless it's a Nazi haircut.
1,000 employees and a budget approaching $70 billion. It mostly gives that money to states and localities that run our country's schools. Well, President Trump wants to get rid of that federal role by dismantling the department. It's
not a Nazi haircut, right? Like, he's got a gimp suit.
Though legal experts say it would take an act of Congress to dismantle the department. The president saying this from the Oval Office when asked about his pick for Education Secretary Linda McMahon.
I told Linda, I hope you do a great job and put yourself out of a job. I want her to put herself out of a job.
OMG.
Education department. What I want to do is let the states run schools. I believe strongly in school choice, but in addition to that, I want the states to run schools.
Meanwhile, the New York State Education Department sent this message to all superintendents, pointing out that the state constitution guarantees an education for all kids in New York and saying diversity is a strength. It also says, quote, recent executive orders issued by the president are antithetical to this tradition of diversity, and it states that the president cannot decide which laws to enforce or funds to distribute. Attorney Barry Covert joins us live here on Voices Tonight. He is kind enough to be a legal analyst for
Voices Tonight,
a senior partner at Lipsitz Green Chimay Cambria.
Darn tootin' Michael Wooten.
Your insight on this, and you have the politics of all of this, and then you have the legal side of it. And I've heard from a lot of experts who say the president can't just get rid of the education department with the stroke of a pen. How do you see it?
No, he cannot get rid of it with a pen. The Constitution provides that Congress can pass legislation that's then signed by the executive at the time. This happened in 1973. There is no power by a president to just rescind a law and just demolish a federal agency that was provided for by a law that was lawfully passed under our Constitution. The president is obligated to accept that money, to distribute that money, to do so through the Department of Education. He can issue executive orders that provide for different forms of management or different forms of organizational charts within the organization and how things are carried out. But Congress has the ability to allocate money for the various agencies, including the Department of Education, and the Supreme Court has repeatedly stated that the president is obligated to spend that money in the manner that they see fit under the law that was passed establishing the Department of Education. He can, again, through executive order, change the management of the Department of Education, but he cannot abolish it. He cannot refuse to spend the money allocated to it. This has been established law. Now, this is a new Supreme Court, and in the last couple of years,
yeah, it is.
This new Supreme Court is going to see things differently. But the Constitution is very clear. The laws are very clear that have been passed And the courts up until now have been very clear that the president does not have the ability to do this.
And Barry, the state education department put out that message to all superintendents. I shared a little bit of it a moment ago. It does seem like New York could join other states in filing additional lawsuits challenging some of these executive orders. Do you anticipate that we're going to see that? And what do you make of New York here, the state education department saying, you know, every student has a right to an education and the president can't infringe on that right? Do you see this also playing out in the courts?
This will absolutely play out in the courts, without a doubt. Just like the other executive orders causing a general freeze of all federal monies, the courts have already put a hold on his attempt to try to strip all that federal money away from various agencies. You can fully expect that this will be litigated in our courts, that the states will get together, any other plaintiffs will file a lawsuit. This will end up in federal court at the district court level, then you can expect it'll go to the next level, the various courts of appeal across the country, and I would not be surprised if these executive orders land with the Supreme Court. This will be playing out for years.
Yep. Finally, Barry, I think some people have been surprised that more of these cases haven't come to
I think he's fabulous.
Judge yet. Obviously, you have the sort of injunction, the temporary pause on the funding freeze from last week, which feels like a month ago in terms of all these things.
He's probably going to the EDM club.
Other executive orders, we've heard there are challenges to them, but we haven't
doing ecstasy and poppers and getting fucked in the ass.
Or slowly.
Depends on the judge.
I'm not saying that in a derogatory way. I'd fuck him.
That he passed 4 weeks ago, we have at least two judges.
Oh, God damn it.
No. We're issuing an injunction. Federal government cannot stop spending the money that was allocated by Congress under the law, under the Constitution. So if we get a federal court judge that a lawsuit is brought,
cancel Justin.
Provide for an injunction enjoining the president from dismantling the Department of Education and refusing to spend the money allocated to it. I would suspect that an injunction will issue. And then there will be a slow litigation here to see whether the executive branch has the power to unilaterally rescind laws that were properly enacted by Congress. This will play out, but it really depends on whether an injunction will issue as to what the timing of all this is. And I really think that that will issue. They have been issued on other issues, and I would expect it to be issued again now.
And of course, plenty of people supporting President Trump in his efforts with some of these executive orders, as others are challenging.
Unfortunately.
In courts and in the court of public opinion. Attorney Barry Covert, always great to get your insight, Barry. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Barry wasn't a dingleberry. Let me hit the content warning for this one. I'm afraid some things are going to get real transphobic and real creepy. The creepy part first. Trump was surrounded by a bunch of little girls.
Secret Service is worried about them. If we have to worry about them, we have big problems. Okay, do you want to have a film? You want to do this?
You should not let children around this man.
Okay. You ready? What a nice picture this is, huh, Governor? You ready? We'll do a good job. Wait, let me press that. I want to make this a really good signature because this is, this is a big one, right? Secret Service is worried about.
That was him signing the
If we have to worry about them, we
anti-trans executive order.
You want to do this?
I forget exactly what it was called.
Then I'm going to give you some pens, okay? You ready? What a nice picture this is, huh, Governor? You ready? We'll do a good job. Wait, let me press that.
The bigot ass executive order.
I want to make this a really good signature because this is, this is a big one, right?
Well, I thought it said the title of the executive order. Nancy Mace talking about it's like her favorite topic. I wouldn't doubt that she dreams about trans women. This is once again at the fucking oversight. God damn it! This is the oversight committee hearing today. How many fireworks can fly in one
The gentlelady
committee hearing?
has used a phrase that is considered a slur in the LGBTQ community and the transgender community. And let me please finish without interruption. And
Tranny. I don't really care. You want penises in women's bathrooms, and I'm not going to have it.
Okay.
No, thank you.
It's
disgusting.
Let the gentleman state his parliamentary inquiry.
To me, a slur is a slur. And here in the committee,
Girl dig is awesome.
Quorum requires us to try consciously to avoid slurs. You just heard the gentlelady actually actively, robustly repeat it. And I would just ask the chairman that she be counseled that we ought not to be engaged. We can have debate and policy discussion without offending human beings who are our fellow citizens. And so I would ask, as a parliamentary inquiry, whether the use of that phrase is not, in fact, a violation of the decorum rules.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'm not going to be counseled by a man over men and women's spaces or men who have mental health issues dressing as women. I'm not being counseled by some guy.
My inquiry is to the chairman,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Order. The inquiry is about decorum. Decorum is at the discretion of the chair.
That's
I will be
mansplaining,
honest,
Mr. Chairman.
with the ranking member. I'm not up to date on my politically correct LGBTQ terminology.
I'm sure.
And get back with you on that. I don't know what's offensive and what's not. I'm not.
It's offensive, Comer.
Pronouns or
I appreciate that,
offensive
Mr. Chairman.
terms.
Mr.
in that
Chairman, we don't have to
community.
anymore.
So
We don't have to anymore. MAGA's in charge.
Willingness to further engage in this matter.
all right. Chair now recognizes Ms. Norton from Washington, D.C. for 5 minutes.
I probably should not let that play again. Probably shouldn't play it the first time. Maybe should have edited that. I'm sorry, Twitch. That was for educational and news purposes. He was smirking. Let's talk about lawsuits against media organizations. Trump has... Do you remember that poll in Iowa that said that Harris was leading in Iowa, 2 weeks before the election? A week before the election? Well, Trump is suing that newspaper, and the local congresswoman, Marionette Miller Meeks, who can be my GOP mommy, has joined the lawsuit.
Congresswoman Marionette Miller Meeks is joining President Trump's lawsuit against the Des Moines Register and former pollster Jan Selzer. It's in response to the final Iowa poll published before the November election showing Kamala Harris leading Donald Trump in the presidential race. The president won Iowa by 13 points. The poll also said in Iowa's first congressional district race, 53% of voters preferred
I like all women.
a candidate and 37% preferred a Republican. Republican Miller Meeks ended up winning over Democrat Christina Bohannon. In a statement, Miller Meeks says she's proud to join the president.
Vote more, vote more.
We have to hold these radical Democrats accountable. Last month, an attorney representing the Des Moines Register called the suit baseless and says the suit seeks to suppress free speech.
I agree. Teflon Bobby. Boof Packs. Welcome in, my friend. Glad to have you. I'm JustinFREAKIN. We find out what that news be doing. We're talking about lawsuits against media organizations. We have the inside story of a juror that helped award $100 million in punitive damage to CNN. They were fed up with fake news. In a Florida courtroom last month, the plaintiff's attorney asked jurors to send a message by holding CNN accountable for defaming security contractor Zachary Young. The jury responded, awarding $5 million to compensate Young, who was described as being part of a black market for refugees fleeing Afghanistan, for damage for his reputation. The jurors would have gone even further, but a settlement was reached before they could award punitive damages. In an email over the weekend, Katie Zvitinko, the foreperson, told Variety that she would have awarded up to $100 million and confined the jury confirmed that the jury was indeed trying to send a message. The message the jury wanted to send was to not only CNN, but to all media that the general public is fed up with fake news and partial truths, she said in response to written questions. Reporting must be unbiased, true, and complete. The 8-day trial in Panama City, Florida, put CNN's reporting process under a microscope. The result was not flattering. CNN's lawyers argued that its coverage was tough but also fair, but in messages displayed to the jury, reporter Alex Marquardt spoke of seeking to nail this Zach Young motherfucker. Do I get away with that one because it's in the story? Or do I have to reset the... I'll reset the clock. Well, colleague Katie Bo Lillis called him a shitbag. And producer Michael Conte wrote that he had a punchable face. Jane Kirtley, a professor of media ethics and law at the University of Minnesota, said the case serves as a cautionary tale, reminding journalists that the gallows humor of the newsroom may not play well in court. The jury is getting to see the sausages getting made, said Kirtley, who does trainings and workshops for reporters on how to avoid getting sued. We make light of situations some people say we should take more seriously. We may speak about the subjects of a news story in less than respectful ways. Yeah. All this is part of the give and take in a newsroom. If someone who is not a journalist... I have worked in several newsrooms. Case in point, right? If someone who is not a journalist reads these things and hears you talk about these things, it can be unfortunate. On the witness stand, Marquardt testified he believed Young was exploiting Afghans who could not possibly afford what he was charging to get out of the country. But the messages also showed CNN's reporters passing up opportunities to explore other angles. International dissent also went unheeded. In one email, National Security reporter Nicole Garrett wrote that it was probably seriously expensive to get out of Afghanistan. So the inference running through Alex's story that these people are just bilking desperate Afghans for their money might not be fair at all. The trial also delved into CNN's fact-checking process, including the network's triad, the standards editor, fact-checker, and lawyer who sign off on sensitive stories. The triad approved of the Young story, though not the chyron leading into the package that described the situation as a black market, which the jury concluded was defamatory. CNN's employees defended the story, saying they did not understand black market to refer to criminal conduct, but rather simply to an unregulated market. Do I buy that? I feel like black market infers criminal conduct. Let's get a precising definition. A black market, underground economy, shadow market, or shadow economy is a clandestine market or series of transactions that has some aspect of illegality and is not compliant with an institutional set of rules. Huh. I mean, some aspect of illegality, that's in the definition, but it's also an or. Or is not compliant with an institutional set of rules. So that kind of does cover. That covers an unregulated market. Interesting. If you want to finish reading that story, you might be into that. I'll put it in the chat. CBS has released the full video that they did with Kamala Harris thanks to a request by the FCC. We're posting the same transcripts and videos of our interview with Vice President Kamala Harris that we provided to the FCC. They show, consistent with 60 Minutes' repeated assurances to the public, that the 60 Minutes broadcast was not doctored or deceitful. In reporting the news, journalists regularly edit interviews for time, space, or clarity. In making these edits, 60 Minutes always guided by the truth and what we believe will be the most informative to the viewing public, all while working within the constraints of broadcast television. The issue here concerns one question from 60 Minutes interview with Kamala Harris: whether Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is listening to the Biden-Harris administration. We broadcast a longer portion of the Vice President's answer on Face the Nation and broadcast a shorter clip or a shorter excerpt from the same answer on 60 Minutes the next day. Each excerpt reflects the substance of the Vice President's answer. As the full transcripts show, we edited the interview to ensure that as much of the Vice President's answers to 60 Minutes, many questions were included in our original broadcast while fairly representing those answers. 60 Minutes' hard-hitting questions of the Vice President speak for themselves. So we have the transcripts here. These are the links to the interview. Have the full unedited thing.
Coming through. Okay, hi everyone. Well, welcome to Mikasa.
Oh, thank you.
Hi.
Hello again, Madam
How are
Vice
you?
President.
This is kind of cool.
Thank you, very well. Hi everyone. Hi. What a crew.
What a crew.
Okay.
A motley crew.
Please.
Please, yes.
You got some beautiful artwork here.
I would love to. You haven't been here.
For the Christmas.
Except the crit, right.
He's got a wonderful mustache.
You know, I've so little known, maybe part of my background is I attended a fine art school for a period of time, and even just growing up, we would go to the California Academy of Arts on weekends. Anyway, I love art, and so when I came in as vice president, I partnered with FAPE, which is a nonprofit that helps supply art around the world for embassies, and I sat down with the curator and gave them an idea, and including with the Baltimore Museum, gave them an idea of what I'd like. And so, you know, normally in this house, it's a lot of art, which is like scenes of pastures with sheep. Instead, I brought like Carrie Mae Weems. Are you familiar with her?
I am indeed.
And then, do you know Fred Wilson?
I don't know Fred Wilson.
Okay, so
That's a beautiful
chandelier,
piece.
that chandelier, I begged him. He does big installations, and I've had many a world leader in this dining room, and they'll walk by it and they'll say, "Oh, is that Venetian?" And I tell them accurately, "No, it's Harlem." So Fred Wilson,
Oh, this is some bougie shit. Talking about
who lives in New York,
artwork and chandeliers.
Ed Clark. You know who Ed Clark is? That's Ed Clark. I've got some Sam Gillum, and
He has no clue who Ed Clark is. He's just going along with it.
he was alive when I first came in, but it was at the height of COVID, and then he passed.
So that's the unedited interview. We got the walk and talk. I want to see what the walk and talk was like.
Good afternoon.
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
It's good to see you.
It's
I'm
good
well.
to see you again.
It's good to see you.
Boy, a lot has changed since we saw you last.
A few things have changed.
A few things have changed.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
You well?
I am.
You're both surprised.
We're supposed to just take a stroll
Okay.
here.
Okay.
And so tell me, this must feel to you like an especially perilous time for the U.S. and for the world. It must.
I think the stakes couldn't be higher in this election cycle.
Is that true?
When I think about what is at stake in terms of our standing in the world and the importance of America maintaining our strength and the respect that we have earned over a long period of time to be an upholder of international rules and norms, such as where we stand as it relates to Ukraine and the importance of fighting for the principle of sovereignty and territorial integrity. When I think about it in terms of what is at stake,
did she just highlight Ukraine as top of the line?
To uphold an oath to support the Constitution of the United States and all it stands for. And tragically, those principles and those foundational principles are very much at stake in this election. When you look at the contrast that we have here, where you have the former president who has refused to honor the will of the people in a free and fair election.
Why would that be the first thing? Because, like, wasn't it, like, Bill Kristol, the fucking conservative? God damn it. Was telling her to run a populist message and talk about the economy? I haven't been... It's only been redeemed, like, twice. I just haven't been able to get through it. I'm very stoned.
Where you have someone who has openly been willing to neglect our allies and the responsibility we have to our allies around the world. When you think about it in the context of the former president who has openly said he'll be a dictator on day one. So,
yeah, he kind of lived up to that.
Very fundamental issues that are at stake right now. That and the consequence of this election, I think, is a very serious matter.
Are you hearing from the voters, the people you're seeing on the campaign trail? Are they expressing similar concerns?
Yes, very much.
And what do you tell them? What do you tell the voters? What do you tell our allies?
So, for example, we're here to...
It apparently has been running for 30 minutes, and I didn't realize it had been that long. It was redeemed 30 minutes ago. So I didn't really cover it, but apparently it was a hot topic for YouTube and the podcast world and all that jive. People were going over the whole Joe Rogan rat fucked Kamala. God damn it! How Joe Rogan rat fucked Harris on the interview. The campaign making it seem like Joe Rogan really didn't want to have her on. The inside story of Harris's lost gamble on Joe Rogan, Beyonce, and a late Texas rally. This is a book plug, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I'd have a threesome with him, but I live in sexual anarchy. Is Jay-Z watching if I do it, though?
You live in sexual anarchy?
That kind of creeped me out. Now, Jay-Z rapping while, like, can he put on a concert while I'm having a It's too much. Too much. Why am I being horny on the stream? Vice President Kamala Harris wasn't performing well in softball interviews as her sugar high faded in September and early October. But if she wanted to expand her support, she needed to, she would have to expose herself to tough questioning. And see, even that sounded, she would have to expose herself. That sounded dirty. That was particularly important with men, specifically young men, who were not buying what she was selling. The obvious answer was Joe Rogan, a late 1990s sitcom star turned bro with a brain podcaster. Rogan boasted a subscriber base that amounted to a total eclipse of the genre's universe. Nearly 15 million signed up just on Spotify. His 2018 interview with Elon Musk, during which the Tesla and SpaceX founder smoked pot and sipped whiskey, garnered tens of millions of views on YouTube and crashed the next generation car company's stock. The vast majority of Rogan's guests and listeners were white men, presenting Harris with a potentially golden opportunity to prove her mettle by walking into the lion's den. On October 11th, Harris deputy campaign manager Rob Flaherty, the aide in charge of digital strategy, made the first Zoom call to start negotiating with Rogan's reps. He did not know what to expect. These might be juiced up UFC-looking supplement people, he thought. He was surprised, perhaps a tad disappointed, to find out that Rogan's associates were more like Hollywood agents. In that vein, they outlined the podcaster's conditions for an interview: no staff in the studio, no topic restrictions, and Harris would have to sign a waiver. There was one more item in the small print. Harris would have to come to Austin, Texas. Rogan's rep said that might be negotiable, but he had only once done an interview with an out-of-studio guest. That was leaker Edward Snowden, who was wanted in the United States at the time. And he's still wanted in the United States, as far as I know. Along with fellow Harris campaign advisors Stephanie Cutter and Brian Fallon, Flaherty offered up that Harris would be happy to talk about social media, censorship, weed, and other issues they thought would be of most interest to his listeners. From their perspective, it was a suggestion of possible topics, not an exhaustive or exclusive list. That's not what Rogan wanted to talk about. Joe just wants to talk about the economy, the border, and abortion, one of his reps said, according to a person familiar with the negotiations. After 2 Zoom sessions, Flaherty called the Rogan intermediaries with an offer. Could Rogan join Harris in Michigan, he asked, proposing a date later in the week. No go, the Rogan team said after reaching the host on a week-long hunting trip. Austin or nothing. It's going to be tough, Flaherty said. We're only a few weeks out from the election. Harris had less than zero reason to be in Texas. It was not a swing state. Her campaign was flush with cash, so it made no sense to take her off the trail to raise money. She was in battleground or bust mode. Plus, a detour to Texas might smell like desperation to the press and a vast waste of money to donors. Harris campaign chief Jennifer O'Malley Dillon broke the impasse. Harris would be in Atlanta on October 24th with Barack Obama and Bruce Springsteen. O'Malley Dillon said the campaign could fly her to Houston for a rally under the cover of visiting a state with one of the nation's most restrictive abortion laws to put her in proximity to Austin. She dispatched an advance team to the Texas state capitol to do a walkthrough of Rogan's studio and get ready for a Harris arrival. She authorized her negotiating team to give Rogan what he demanded: an in-studio interview in Austin on October 25th. For all of former President Donald Trump's work to reach apolitical voters through podcasts, YouTubes, and other media outlets, Harris positioned herself to score a coup by grabbing the biggest megaphone of them all. If she did, she would be exploiting a rift between Rogan and Trump. Rogan had called Trump a man baby and a threat to democracy in 2022, vowing not to interview the former president. At the time, the beef was just one more sign of the social stigma attached to Trump after the January 6th assault on the Capitol, said one longtime Trump advisor. But when Rogan appeared to endorse independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in August, Trump fired back on the Truth social media platform. It will be interesting to see how loudly Joe Rogan gets booed the next time he enters a UFC ring. MAGA 2024. At the same time, Rogan was hardly Mr. Popular inside Harris's camp. Her brother-in-law, Tony West, longtime advisor Minion Moore, and others argued against putting Harris on the podcast, especially after her first venture into politically tough terrain. An interview with Fox's Brett Baer in the middle of the Rogan negotiations bombed. There was no telling what Rogan might ask or how he would treat her. Plus, his anti-woke crusade had made him a pariah on the hard left. They were overruled by O'Malley Dillon's crew, but not because the concerns were considered invalid. Even for those of us who were in favor of it, it was a close call, said one of Harris's advisors involved in the back and forth. The Harris High Command was not built to lob Hail Mary passes. Its leaders, starting with O'Malley Dillon, cut their teeth on campaigns that ridiculed fellow Democrats for bedwetting, whether crises were imagined or real. Seeking an interview on a popular podcast hardly qualified as a desperation throw downfield, but it was a relatively risky move for campaign leadership that had kept its candidate hermetically sealed, hermaphroditically sealed, in the manufacturer's box, like she would retain more value without exposure to air and sunlight. On October 10, the day before Flattery first spoke with Rogan's team, the Harris campaign's weekly internal analytics assessment of the race, a 129-page document, had projected Harris winning exactly 270 electoral votes. She was on track to take the blue wall, Nebraska's 2nd district, but lose the rest of the swing states, at least according to her own analytics. That's the first I'm hearing about that. Beneath the top line number, the reporting just a couple months ago was that she never had numbers that showed her winning. Beneath the top line numbers, though, the analytics showed why it was so important for Harris to reach the type of voters who listened to Rogan. Her aides scheduled the rally for Friday night in the fall of October 25th in Texas. It was as if no one on her team knew the night reserved for high school football was more sacred than Easter in the state. That's fucking hilarious. Oh, God damn it. Campaign advisor David Plouffe responded to the criticism publicly, explaining that Harris wanted to shine the spotlight on a place where she believed Trump's anti-abortion policies had done the most damage to women's health. Only a few people knew the real reason. The whole Houston rally was built to put her in proximity to Rogan. The ongoing negotiations on that were touch and go. Flaherty had called his Rogan contacts on October 18th before the rally was set. We could do Friday the 25th, Flaherty said. Wish we had known about this sooner because he has the 25th blocked out as a personal day, one of Rogan's reps said. What about Sunday morning, Flaherty continued. Only if it's before 8:30 a.m. came the tough reply. The tone is different, Flaherty thought. The Vice President of the United States is offering to come to your fucking show, and you keep putting up more hoops. Harris's team still wanted to make it work, but a new weariness set in. On October 22nd, the same day that the Harris campaign announced the rally, the AP reported that Trump would be Rogan's guest on Friday, the personal day Rogan had originally reserved. Mutual friends Elon Musk and Dana White had convinced Trump and Rogan to bury their dispute, according to a Trump aide. There would be no Harris interview. So that's the Harris campaign's take on what happened with Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, in the latest episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, has addressed the claims and apparently said that that's not how it happened at all.
Yeah, and obviously politics is the best example of that. I mean, especially today. I guess it's probably a good time to talk about this. There was a thing that came out recently. There was a book. There was some book about the Kamala Harris campaign where they talked about her getting on this show. And they said a bunch of things that weren't true. They talked to supposedly talked to like 150 different people about her and, you know, what happened with her coming on the show. I don't know if it's 150. A lot of people. They didn't talk to us, and which is kind of
he's bad with numbers.
Which is like they didn't even ask. But they said things that just weren't true. One of the things they said that weren't true was that we lied about the day that Trump was coming on. No, we just didn't tell you that Trump was coming on. He was already booked a long time ago. This is how it worked. Trump was really easy to book, like super easy. We offered one day. He said yes. That was it. There was no, what are we going to talk about? How long is it going to be? Is it going to be edited? There was nothing. Yeah. What's the waiver? Here, give me that waiver. Sign it. It was so easy. So he was already booked. They never committed to doing the show. So all this talk, there was another thing they said that the reason why they did the Beyonce thing, the Beyonce event in Houston, was so that they could be in Texas to do my show. They never agreed to do the show. None of that's true.
Yeah, this sounds right.
They also said that they sent someone down here to the studio to do a walkthrough of the set. That's not true. The Trump administration did. I mean, if they are trying to say that they, as in the entire federal government, well, I don't think the Trump, well, I guess the Secret Service is a part of the federal government.
Yeah.
Maybe you can kind of get away with saying that because the Secret Service came down here for Trump and looked around that we sent someone down, but it was not. It was the Trump administration sent them down because there
was no Trump administration
to do the show. These people didn't have a date to do. They never agreed to do the show. This is really important. Even after Trump went on, they offered for me to come to D.C. and do a show with Kamala. But even then, it was the same deal. It was only like 45 minutes to an hour. And, you know, it was not on my set. And I said that, look, he did it here. We should probably do it here. Like, if it's possible to do it here. Obviously, when he did it, it had an enormous result. I'm willing to do the same thing for her. I wanted to release both of them on the same day. This was my goal. I was even trying to figure out if there was a way that I could do it, and I even offered to do it late that night. So the night that Trump came on, I'm like, what if we do her, like when she's done in Texas, if she came here? But no one ever committed to doing it. This is like really important because they keep pretending that I lied or I did this or I did that. They never committed to doing it. Well, we went through, I've got a whole, we have all the receipts, by the way.
Of course.
I have a whole list of conversations that took place. They never said she was going to do it. So this whole idea that we fucked her over and then we fucked her over for Trump, incorrect. Just not true.
And she,
but I think it's someone trying to cover their ass for the fact that she never did it, and if she did do it, it might have had a positive effect.
Yeah,
if her and I had a good time and we got along great, and she won over, the air quote young male vote.
She should have went on and smoked some pot.
This guy's probably trying to cover his ass.
That's what I'm thinking too, is because the reaction to her not coming was like pretty big.
But they didn't commit to doing it. This is the thing. While this guy's saying like that we were difficult to deal with, not true. We were super easy. We made it real clear. But also, it's got to be the actual real show. It shouldn't be some fake version of it where I'm sitting in a conference room. Also, they wanted a stenographer in the room. They wanted staff in the room. Trump was just in here by himself.
Yeah.
Just me, him, and Jamie. That's it. For 3 hours. Like, they wanted
that sounds horrible.
Very controlled. And they were really concerned that it wasn't going to be edited. So I don't think they ever really were sure they wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Then once Trump did it, and it had this huge response,
I believe that.
I think then it was like, what the fuck? What are we doing? He just did it. It's got 50 fucking million views. This is so stupid. Why didn't we do it? And so then there was, even then, when they offered to do it in D.C., my manager asked, is she committed to doing this? If I bring this to Joe, no, she hasn't committed to doing this. Have you brought this to her? Like, they wouldn't even say whether or not she had expressed willingness to do it or whether they...
He's not said anything that contradicted what we read in the book. So I don't know what you're talking about, Bagheera, but good evening, my friend. Like, it's just a different, aspect of it. It's a different side of the story. They don't contradict each other. I believe both.
They were trying to convince her to do it. We know for sure there were some people that were supposedly on her staff that were against her doing it. They thought
That's what it said.
It's a bunch of wokesters. They're basically in a
bunch of wokesters.
You have a distribution. Look, if you're willing to go on Fox News, you talk to what's that guy's name, Brett Breyer?
Yeah.
We'll see
where they
who
cut that off
cancels
after
who.
20 minutes.
It's Brett Baer.
When they did that. That's when I was like, look, it's got to be in the studio. It's got to be in the studio, and it's got to be real. It's got to be a real conversation. I had entertained a couple of times going to, but I was like, 45 minutes is just not enough. You and I have been talking an hour and a half already.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like
he's not
enough time.
Bagheera, man.
You need more time to
Good evening, my
make
friend.
someone tick.
And that's probably what she was afraid of.
Probably what they were afraid of. Maybe not her.
Maybe
I
not
think they
her,
should
yeah.
have been.
I
think we had a good old
don't
time.
see how she wouldn't have done well.
I think we would have had fun.
If she had just been
it was a huge,
chill.
huge mistake on her part. And let's be honest, like, it's the kind of thing that it's reminiscent of forget the congressman that asked Mark Zuckerberg how Facebook makes money. It's just like you're so detached from the modern world. It's like you could spend millions of dollars on all your ad campaign all across YouTube, or you could just go sit in the room with Joe for 3 hours, and I'll tell you which one's going to do better for you, lady. But
she went in and smoked a joint.
The problem is that I think the people that saw it as they thought they were going to win anyway, apparently. Mm-hmm. And the people that saw it as a negative thought.
I don't think they thought they were going to win.
Where things didn't go well. But I think a lot of those blunders are. I was listening to this woman on the Tucker Carlson show, and she was talking about what Biden was like during the presidency. And one of the things that she said I thought that was very interesting was that there's many people that worked with Biden that said there were moments in his first couple of years where he was very lucid and that he would be actually running.
Yeah, we saw it.
And he had talking points that were written down, but he was having these lucid conversations. And then he would do these public things and he would have blunders. I think a lot of it is just the pressure of performing publicly under intense scrutiny. Like if you have to do a live set, like say if you have to do Saturday Night Live or something like that, and you're going to do a monologue, the pressure of doing that monologue is so much different than the pressure of just going up at a local comedy club.
Oh, sure.
It's insane. And I think that pressure, Joe Biden, as much
That's the best analog he's got.
He has a high self-opinion, clearly.
I'm amazed he hasn't hosted Saturday Night Live.
The country hates him and thinks he's doing a terrible job, and then he has to talk publicly live. Then I think those cognitive problems were sort of elevated.
That makes sense.
I think that's the same with her. So I think that's the same with her when she's on Fox with Brett Breyer. I think it's hostile environments. I think it's large crowds. I think it's a lot of things where you don't get to see the real person. So that was my goal. My goal was to try to meet the real person. Just like.
I mean, I don't not believe Joe. Like, it doesn't conflict with the book at all. I think he backed up everything that was said in the book. So the Democrats, they're apparently just a basket of deplorables. Nobody likes them. Anybody could beat them. Anybody could run against these Democrats and beat them. Somebody like Stephen A. Smith could run against all these Democrats and beat them.
So the
Did I make it through?
The left, they pick new party leaders. They're struggling to find out who to rally behind in 2028. A recent poll of potential presidential nominees shows former Vice President Kamala Harris in the lead at 33%, followed by former Transportation Secretary Pothole Pete Buttigieg at 9%.
Pothole Pete.
Gavin Newsom at 7%, and the recent vice presidential nominee Tim Walz sits at 3%. 1 point behind him is our friend Stephen A. Smith, who is currently the star of First Take on ESPN, and he said he might consider a run. Really, Stephen? Look.
The Democratic Party looks so pathetic after this election. I might entertain running. I just might change my mind one day. I doubt it, but I might. Because
it said he was going to run for Senate in Michigan. And I'm like, I thought the motherfucker was from Indiana. What am I missing? Why is he not running for Senate in Indiana? Why Michigan?
What would it take to beat y'all? And Trump can't run again.
Now, Stephen A. also has come out strong against Trump recent
couldn't win in Indiana.
The DEI wokeness that took over our government under Biden and, of course, before him, Barack Obama. And he is preparing for a presidential run. Let's ask him. Stephen A., how are you? Okay, what you said is, I might entertain running for president. You can't afford the pay cut by your own admission, and if you run, your party would never nominate you because you're far too reasonable, although I have a couple of bones to pick with you tonight.
We got bones to pick.
Number one, you're absolutely right. My lifestyle is quite lovely, and I would not want to ruin that by running for the presidency of the United States of America. I have no interest, but I was just trying to make a profound point, and that is that I think the Democratic Party in the state that they find themselves in, I think somebody like me could actually win. I certainly think that I could beat any of those candidates that you put on the screen. I can tell you that right now. I certainly think if I was running up against somebody like you, I would win that race too. So when you think about the candidates,
listen to that shade.
You run, I'm running. If you run, I'll run.
Listen. You have no chance in hell of beating me because you're too rich.
Damn.
You don't have any patience for people that disagree with you. You'd lose your mind.
No,
on
you're
the other
going to lecture
hand,
people on patience?
Okay, I'm the man of the people. Whatever the American people.
That's exactly why I banned the word vote.
Taxes, limited government. I'm the one that wants energy dominance, controlled borders, law and order, better schools.
You want it all.
I'm sorry, you're going to lose that debate. Now, but put that aside for a second.
I want to lose it. I know how to compromise. But go ahead.
Okay, you actually said about DEI. What you're really saying when you talk about DEI, what you're really saying is we want white dominance again. Let me put up on the screen, and this was first instituted, as it relates to the FAA under Barack Obama. Their diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. Now, Stephen, you fly a lot. Do you want people with intellectual and psychiatric disabilities in that?
You think they're letting them fly the plane?
Not at all. Not at all.
Oh, that sounds horrible.
Accurately, I don't know how many times I have to tell you this. Quote me accurately. My issue with the eradication of DEI was not that on its premise. It was the explanation that the Trump administration and others were giving about it.
Woke digging fart jokes.
DEI automatically being about people who happen to be minorities that are unqualified. That is what I was saying. I said it's one thing to get rid of it altogether. It's another thing entirely to articulate and verbalize the position that, excuse me, you know what, everybody that was associated with DEI are unqualified individuals. We don't want unqualified individuals, particularly in public safety. I'm saying that's how people were coming across. That's how people, of course we agree on it. Of course we agree on it. But when you have somebody like Hegseth, well, for example, because he was speaking about your former colleague at Fox News. Hold on. That's not a defense secretary. Excuse me. Listen, listen, I'm not bringing up anything personal. I'm simply saying, my God, Sean, when you're talking about people who are I wish him nothing but the best. He served our country, you know, in the military. I get all of that. But when you are a weekend host on Fox News, and now you're the defense secretary of the United States overseeing 3.5 million people.
Let me ask you, did you serve in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Gitmo?
No,
did you go to Harvard? Did you go to Harvard? Did you go to Princeton? Yeah,
no,
well, he's certainly a pretty intelligent guy, so I would say.
I didn't say he wasn't intelligent.
Why don't we give a real soldier an opportunity?
He is the Department of Defense.
All right, one thing I'm not qualified for.
But say that.
I just said it.
Stephen A. Smith isn't nominated to be the Secretary of Defense, you know?
I'm not qualified for this, and we're going to show it at the end of the show. But I'm going to be in a Super Bowl ad, and you're at the Super Bowl.
Oh, God.
What?
You in a Super Bowl ad? What the hell is this world coming to? What kind of Super Bowl ad are you going to be in? You with
seriously.
Talk about staying in your lane. That's you. You in a Super Bowl commercial? Who did this? Did Trump pull strings to make this happen? I mean, what the hell is going on, Fox? Well, Brett Baer, that's a different animal. I mean, Brett Baer's a different animal. He's a different animal. Go ahead.
You know what? You're jealous.
Oh, my God.
Jealous of what? What do I have to be
I'm in the
jealous
Super Bowl ad and you're not. You're jealous.
Wait for it. Wait for it. I mean, my time will come. My time will come. Don't worry. I'll be around a long enough time. My time will come. I'll be in the Super Bowl commercial. You can book that. That's going to happen. That's going to happen.
Right,
I mean, I'm not as big time as you, but it is what it is.
Oh, here we go. Who's going to win the Super Bowl?
I'm not telling you that. I got 2 shows to do. I got 2 shows to do before Friday. I'm not giving you that information. I'm not giving the information to Fox News.
As if his opinion is
great. It's a great matchup. You got Patrick.
Like, does it matter in the betting market?
Stephen A. from ESPN. What does that mean?
Excuse me. I didn't say I didn't know the answer. I didn't say you wasn't going to get the answer. I just said you ain't going to get it tonight on Fox News. I got a couple of shows.
I don't watch football. I know nothing about sporty ball. Kansas City's going to win. Who are they playing? Kansas City's going to win. I'm correct, right? The Super Bowl is this week. I know they're facing with Philly. That was like last year. But yeah, the Kansas City's going to win. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come on at 4:20 because I want to watch Kendrick Lamar. So we're going to do 4:20 on Sunday. We're going to do like a 2 or 3 hour show. I'm going to peace out. I'll go watch Kendrick Lamar. And like I'm like people that are flying the planes are qualified. I am all about hiring protections for people that may have disabilities that can 100% do a myriad of other jobs associated with an airline. Yeah, it's this Sunday. So I'm going to come on at 4:20. I've got some Super Bowl related stories. Really, it's just the Kendrick Lamar concert to me. Last couple of years, I have just done the show like normal and then watched the Super Bowl halftime show afterwards. This year, I'm really excited for it, so I want to watch it live. That's kind of where we're at right now. We had the Grammys this past weekend. Grammys reporter apologizes for disrespectful Babyface interview. A red carpet interview between the 13-time winner and a journalist from the Associated Press went viral for all the wrong reasons. That was tough to say.
Yes, I think it's interesting.
Chapel.
You guys want to do that? Go do that.
So sorry. I'm so sorry. Hello. How's it going, Chapel? Hello.
Oh, he got really offended, didn't he?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I guess it is a pretty big slight.
It's interesting.
Chapel.
You guys want to do that? Go do that.
So sorry. I'm so sorry. Hello. How's it going, Chapel? Hello.
She marked out, didn't she?
Yes, I think it's interesting.
What is she even looking at over there? But apparently the Grammys are nothing but the DEI awards. The Grammys are super woke, according to alpha male Nick Adams. Babyface did seem to kind of be given a bad interview. Alpha male Nick Adams going to tell us about the Grammys being the DEI awards.
In what can only be described as the most egregious display of virtue signaling and woke pandering in the history of music awards, the 2025 Grammy Awards have cemented themselves as the epitome of the DEI circus. The event, which should have been a celebration of musical talent, turned into a grotesque parade of political posturing and cultural decay. First off, let's address the elephant in the room. Beyonce's win for Best Album and Best Country Album. The very notion that Cowboy Carter deserves such accolades is laughable at best, offensive at worst. Here's an artist who has barely dipped her toes into the genre of country music, yet she's paraded around as some saint of the genre.
Are you calling alpha male Nick Adams woke? Because he's against the woke. He's on your side.
This isn't about merit. It's about checking diversity boxes. Real country music, with its roots deeply embedded in the heartland of America, was betrayed by this woke travesty. But the night wasn't just about misguided awards. The entire event was a woke spectacle. Lady Gaga, in her infinite wisdom, chose the Grammy stage to push her trans agenda, turning what should have been a moment of musical appreciation into a political soapbox. Her speech was less about the art of music and more about how many times she could mention trans in a single sentence.
Did we miss something?
Charlie XCX.
Charlie XCX, get it right.
If you thought you were watching a music award show, think again. It was more like an audition for a softcore film. Her act was so explicit,
it was awesome.
It made even the most liberal parents blush. It was less a...
Look, it's okay to admit that you're jealous of her.
celebration of music and more a celebration of how far one can push the boundaries of...
Apparently those were underwear on the stage.
And let's not forget the glaring omission...
And they donated the underwear.
...any acknowledgement of President Trump's efforts to bring America back to its...
Who gives a shit about Trump?
Not one single solitary artist had the guts or the gratitude to mention how his policies are aimed at preserving the American way of life. Instead, we were treated to more salutes to Satan than any mention of traditional values.
That's awesome.
God, the sanctity of the family. The true artists of our time, those who've been vocal about their conservative values, like Kid Rock, Lee Greenwood, Carrie Underwood, Jason Aldean, they were conspicuously absent from the winners list. Instead,
Kid Rock didn't even release an album.
Over woke media darlings like Billie Eilish and Taylor Swift.
They released albums this past year.
Overrated at best. This year's Grammys should go down in history not as a celebration of music, but as a cautionary tale of what happens when art becomes subservient to political agenda.
To the woke.
The award show has become a beacon of how not to celebrate talent and achievement. The 2025 Grammy Awards were nothing short of a disgrace to music lovers everywhere. They've become the DEI Awards.
I'm a music lover, and I enjoyed it thoroughly and was still talking about it this morning with Curiouser. So I don't speak for me. I don't think you're a real music lover.
Where talent takes a backseat to wokeness and the true spirit of country, rock, and all that is genuinely American music is left to rot in the shadow of leftist ideology.
Wow.
If this is the future of music, then God help all of us.
Then God help all of us. Okay, I went long, so I skipped over all the tuberculosis stories and the and the H1N1 update and all the crime stories. And I've got some really good crime stories. We're gonna do them tomorrow night. It's Intellectual Dollar Tree night, so I know everybody wants to get over there. If I go long tomorrow night, it's better. So here's Poppy's.